Good morning, everybody. We welcome you all for the virtual conference on challenges and opportunities for integrated soil fertility management in India. The session starts with a prayer. I request everyone to stand up for the prayer. Thank you. We welcome Dr. M. V. Sriramachandra Shekharan, our professor and head of the Department Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, to give his welcome address of virtual conference on challenges and opportunities for integrated soil fertility management in India.
Good morning to all. So we have assembled for a IQAT virtual conference on integrated soil fertility management for India. So before I welcome the audience and the speakers, etc., I want to give 2 lines about our virtual conference. Integrated soil fertility management include the use of fertilizers, organic inputs, and improved germplasm, combined with the knowledge on how to adapt these practices to local condition, aimed at maximizing agronomic use efficiency of applied nutrients and improving crop productivity. Today, India has achieved record production of 305 million metric tons of food grains and 326 million metric tons of fruits and vegetables. However, to feed the estimated 1.7 billion population by 2050, country will have to produce 405 million metric tons of food grains and 696 million metric tons of fruits and vegetables. It's a Herculean task in the background scenario of inherent poor soil fertility of India in soils and climate change. The answer to the mission is to adopt integrated soil fertility management involving modern precision farming, use of new fertilizer products. In this context, we have in the midst 3 eminent speakers drawn from industry, institute, and practitioner of integrated soil fertility management. I'm happy to welcome our most reputed, respected, and beloved Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, who has been our backbone for all the activities. I also welcome Dr. Arivade Nambi, Director IQAC, who has been a clean player in motivating our scientists to organize such virtual conference involving industry and academia. I also have a pleasure in welcoming the distinguished speaker. First speaker is Jason Jerome. He is an organic biodynamic agriculture consultant. And also I have a pleasure of welcoming Dr. Samendra Bazarika, Principal Soil Scientist, Soils in ICAR Meghalaya. And also I have very good pleasure in welcoming Mr. K. Sindhil Kumar, Deputy Manager, Madras Fertilizer Limited. I also have a pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished professors, associate professors, assistant professors, and also my dear students, research scholar and PG students. And also I have a warm welcome to the large number of participants who have joined our virtual conference through online mode. I'm sure that another 3 hours will be in receipt of wonderful recipe of integrated soil fertility management practices And once again, I welcome one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very pleasant speech. We welcome our IQAC Director and Professor and Head, Dr. S. Arivuday Nambi, Department of Entomology, for the virtual conference to give his valuable speech.
The most respected Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, the most respected and learned Professor and Head, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, Dr. Dhanasekaran, Professor Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, and all directors, organizing secretaries, Dr. R. Bhuneshwari, Dr. S. Srinivasan, Dr. D. Venkatakrishnan, and co-organizing secretaries, students from various departments, students and research scholars from Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, and staff members from various departments. Good morning, everyone. So this is the very first IQAT conference conducted by the Department of Soil Science and Agriculture Chemistry. So I have to say little about IQAT 21 and the concepts of IQAT 21. You know that IQAT 21, so it is IQAT, I power 4. There are 4 components here. One is institute, number 2 is industry, number 3 is interaction, and the 4th is interface. There are 4 I's in this concept, IQAT. So I think in the 2 years back, we have introduced one sentence in the 5th unit of our syllabus while revising. Throughout the university, we have introduced that is called as current stream of thoughts. So this is the meaning for current stream of thoughts. So now we are connecting our students with the current stream of thoughts. So that is industry. So this particular concept, IQAT 21, it is actually originated from IQAC, and this may be considered as one of the best practices while moving to the NAAC accreditation 5th cycle. So you are all aware of that. The best practices of the universities. We have to give 2 important best practices of our university while submitting our self-study report to NAAC. So it carries almost 30 marks. This particular metric is having the highest mark while seeing all the distribution there. So for this 4th cycle, we have already submitted 2 important best practices. One is related to the community development from the agriculture and marine sciences. And another one we have submitted related to the yoga. It is called ARA. It is called Annamalai University Regenerates All. That's one concept. Then next one is related to livelihood of the community here around Annamalai University. So for the next phase, that means the 5th cycle, we have to initiate the best practice from these 2021 onwards. So for that only, we proposed this. This may be considered as one of the best practices after 5 years. So we are actually requesting all the departments in our university to conduct or to connect our students to the industry. So by this way, the students can get the latest development and the latest need of the industry. Then they can incorporate that particular idea in their research, and they can be updated by connecting with them. So this is the concept. So industry people can also, in turn, they can come over here for some placement, and they can take our students because there may be some relation between, we are going to develop some relationship between the students and the industry people. So placement director is also in this line. We are actually connecting with the industry people. Then those industry people may be connected by connected with the placement cell, and they may have some interactions. By this way, the ultimate benefit that may go to the students. So this is the major idea. This is because of the students and for the students only. I request all the students to kindly concentrate on the 3rd I, that is called interaction. So academic persons are here. We are connecting with industry people. So you have to interact with that industry people and you can get clear with your ideas and other things. So if there is no interaction, the meaning of this IQA 21 that may not achieve that goal. So kindly interact more with the industry people. Then only we can give some good idea about our students to that industry people also. So in this regard, I thank the Professor and Head Soil Science for having given me the opportunity, given us the opportunity to work with you people. So if you see the topic here, I think out of the three speakers, two are from the industry. This is the correct blend of IQR 21. So normally, if there are four means, 50-50, industry people 50%, 50% maybe from academic, or if you have four people from industry, that is well and good. But here almost 70% from industry and only 1% from the academic institute, that to the ICR institute. So I know about Mr. Jerome, the well-known organic biodynamic agriculture consultant. He is having a lot of idea related to biodynamics. So you can utilize that particular thing. So then Mr. K. Sendil Kumar, Deputy Manager from Madras Fertilizer Limited, Trichy, is also having vast experience in the field of fertilizer management. So these are all the very important speakers related to this IQA 21. Then you can get some scientific or the basic information from the scientists from ICR Institute also. This is a very good blend of this IQA. I think balanced fertilizers, soil health management, soil fertility management are all the topics. So it is totally designed very well by the Professor and Head Department of Soil Science and Agriculture Chemistry and the directors and organizing secretaries. So I congratulate and I appreciate all the teams, that mean directors, organizing secretaries and co-organizing secretaries. And I thank everyone for all actually doing a lot of ideas, bringing this workshop in a good way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your views with us. We welcome our Dean, Mr. Ganapathy, Faculty of Agriculture, to deliver the inaugural speech on the virtual conference.
Dr. Sri Ramachandra Sekharan, the organizing secretaries, Dr. Arude Nambi, Dr. Dhanasekaran, senior faculty members from the Department of Soil Science and Agriculture Chemistry, and other faculty members, and my dear student friends, participants online. It's indeed a great pleasure to inaugurate this challenges and opportunities for integrated soil fertility management in India. So, good morning to everyone. I'm extremely sorry for the delay in coming out here, because this morning I just happened to have a short meeting with some people from the Kaveri Water River Tribunal at Neyveli, and I had to rush back to Chidambaram. In that, there were few questions raised by the RDO and a member who is also a biochemist. They were asking about the water that we've been drawing out from the Khan Sahib channel here, and that we've been doing for the past 50, 60 years. So, and we told them that the farm has every riparian right to draw water there, because our inflow system has been cut off because of encroachment. And to settle that, probably it would be a big cost to the government. So one of the members suggested that why not you have some industry participate with your organization and have a tube below the ground surface linking to the Khan Sahib channel to draw water. Then I told him that should be through CSR funds, and university cannot afford to do so much at a cost. So in that case, he was referring few industries and he suggested some. And another thing was, there was a biochemist he was telling me like, are you working on the soil fertility status and other things in your faculty? And I told him, thank God I had a WhatsApp message. I just showed him this invitation. He was very pleased. And I even invited him whether he could come down by 12 o'clock because they would be on a road trip inspecting parts of Kaveri, I mean, the Kolledam and Velar Delta. And he suggested to me one thing. He told me that there are some beneficial microorganisms in the soil which produces, I mean, something related to yeast, and they produce some glucons. And they are supposed to stop the surge of cytokinins produced when this COVID, this corona gets into the bloodstream. So he asked me whether you could identify such type of yeast from the soil. I told him I'll put forth this to the head of the department and see that the team works on it, sir. So this is how I think we need to link with the industry. And he suggested, can you suggest some ideas where we could get funds from? And he suggested some few industries. And that was a very good meeting. So I find this very apt because it was a rare matter of mere coincidence that I had to meet these people, and they were really interacting to me about certain issues, how the institution should participate with because the whole topic got diverted to something else. Because when I started off this with this invitation, got diverted to something else. And it was a very peaceful, actually they were accusing Annamala University, why were you drawing water? On seeing the invitation, they turned out the topic and it was something very different. So thank you very much for the initiatives of the Department of Soils and Agriculture Chemistry to have made a very good topic for the day and saved me from answering very bitter questions. And it was very good. And I would like to tell you that they were again asking me about whether you have studied about the soil fertility map of South Arcot district. I said, yes, probably we'll do it before they get back to see the documents. So thank you very much. I wish this conference a very good day with good deliberations and good outcomes to come out. I take pleasure in inaugurating this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your lead of our speech. We welcome Dr. R. Bhuvaneshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, to speak about the virtual conference in brief.
Most respected Dean, respected Head of the Department Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, and respected Head of the Department Entomology and Director IQAC, and teaching faculties, non-teaching staff, student friends, a very good morning and warm welcome to one and all. I stand before you to say a few words about this virtual conference on challenges and opportunities for integrated soil fertility management in India. The 17 measurable sustainable development goals set by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015 to tackle a modern global changes by 2030 are all relevant to the agriculture directly or indirectly, and giving agriculture a multi-dimensional importance. According to FAO, 95% of our food comes directly or indirectly from soil. Rapid increase in population and increase in urbanization lead to decrease in agricultural land, which shift a target to higher productivity and crop intensification. In order to improve the productivity, maintenance of soil health, INM is the only possible way. However, there are a lot of issues, challenges in implementing INM practice in agriculture. I hope the deliberation by the expert will throw the lights on issues, and I will become a platform for the scholars to enrich the knowledge. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, ma'am, for your introduction. Now, I would like to request Dr. K. Dhanasekaran, Professor, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, to introduce the first speaker, Mr. Jason J. Jerome, Organic Biodynamic Agriculture Consultant, Bangalore.
Most respected Dean Faculty of Agriculture, our vibrant and dynamic HOD, Dr. MES, HOD Entomology and the IQAC Director, Dr. Arudin MD, teaching faculties, student friends, good morning to all of you. I am very much delighted to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Jason J. Jerome. He is my classmate from 86 to 92, both in UG and PG program. And he hails from the Nanjil Nadu, Norway. And after completing this PG program in 1992, he is totally involved in he dedicated his life in the organic movement. So involved in the biodynamic agriculture right from 1993, and he served in several levels, and he is involved in the production of different biodynamic products, that is BD 500, that's horn manure, and horn silica, BD 501 compost herbal preparations, and cow patch pitch manure. And he is one of the founder member of this Biodynamic Association of India, and served as a managing committee member of Biodynamic Associations of India. And he has organized several training programs all over India. In addition that, he has traveled several countries as a consultant, as well as he conducted several training programs in China, Korea, Germany, Thailand, Qatar, and Egypt. And with these few words, I request the speaker, Dr. Jerome, to start his deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So I'm happy and have the privilege of giving this session. Most respected co-patron, Mr. Dr. Ganapati, Dean of the Agriculture, then the respected advisors, distinguished directors, industrious organizing secretaries, illustrious co-organizing secretaries. I take this opportunity to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. If you see, this topic is what the topic I have been given is this sustainable soil fertility management. Soil fertility is one of the very frequently used word if you see in agriculture. Here during this session, I'll be able to give you only an overview of the soil fertility, but maybe some details about certain basic concepts, because several soil science department learned people are here, and it should be helpful for the farmers to understand how the soil fertility management has to be in a sustainable manner. So I would like to share my presentation now. Just few minutes, excuse me. Hello?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
The screen is visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So when we talk about the soil fertility management, the agriculture, mainly the food production is totally dependent on the soil fertility status of the soil.
Sir, kindly change into presentation mode, sir.
Presentation mode. Can you help me? Like
F5, sir. Press F5.
F5. Function F5.
Not working. Then nearby the zoom button, sir. The first button nearby the zoom button. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. It's a good learning. Okay, so the agriculture is totally dependent on the fertility status of the soil because we have to produce a lot. So in the introductory session, in the introductory speech of our dean, he was talking about several million tons needed for the future population to be fed with. So in that way, like the soil fertility is a very critical factor. And for me, the human health is very directly related to the soil fertility status of the human being, of the soil in which it is grown. Because if the crops are grown, if you see the crops, they are totally dependent on the fertility status for their nutrient requirement. If there is a nutrient deficiency in the soil, it will be also reflected in the nutrient content of the crop grown in the soil. The quality of the food, if you say, will be also reflecting that. Like, if you grow the crop in a nutrient deficient soil, the food produced from that will be also having low minerals and low vitamins. The human beings and the animals are getting their nourishment from that sort of a food. And if happen to have only such a food with the mineral deficiency, then definitely it will also affect the health of the humans and animals due to certain nutrient deficiency. That is why now we can say if people are consuming the low nutrient dense food, finally they have to take a lot of nutrient supplements in the form of tablets or tonics or anything to cope up with their body requirement. So if you see, the soil fertility is not only for the food production, it's even very much related to the human health. That is what, for me, it's a very crucial thing to maintain the soil fertility, especially for humans to be healthy. It is not how much we produce, what sort of quality of the product we produce is a real matter of fact for our thinking process. And when we talk about soil fertility, there are several different ways with the shift in focus and the perceptions. So if you ask about a chemical farming system, it's a capability of the capacity of the soil to supply all the essential nutrients for the crops grown in that. But in alternative farming systems, such as organic or biodynamic farming system, the focus is different. It's mainly focused on developing humus, the stable compound, as you all know, and also enhancing the variety and population of beneficial soil microbial organisms in the soil. So these systems, the organic or biodynamic farming system, emphasize on biological, that is microbial activity of the soil and its physical properties, through which the essential nutrients are made available for the crop growth. So now, instead of talking about soil fertility, we should hereafter mostly discuss about the soil health. And it is the real holistic approach towards the soil fertility, because soil fertility, the fertility of the soil is not like decided by the chemical properties and chemical constituents, but we have to also consider the physical and biological properties which are interconnected with each other. So we can talk several things about the soil fertility in this aspect, like, how to define the soil fertility. When it comes into practice, we have to think about the soil fertility means we are dealing with certain ecosystem which has to deliver these things. So our main focus in farming should be oriented now how sustainable way, in how many developing a sustainable way of maintaining the soil fertility of the soil. So it is our duty now to develop an ecosystem that has soil nutrient recycling capacity. This is one of the main questions to be answered now. How much of the land has this soil nutrient recycling capacity? So this is one of the very important tasks before the scientist to think about how it can be maintained. Because when we talk about soil fertility, it is not only about different ways of adding different manures and fertilizers into the soil. It's nothing like that. But our main focus and attention also needed how to protect the existing fertility of the soil, how to manage the essential nutrients in different horizons of the soil, and how to improve it by biological methods. So my entire discussion today will be focusing on these aspects, not only just how much you are adding, what is your NPK ratios, all these things are there. But for me, the main focus is like in the three aspects, like, the increasing the soil fertility, maintaining it, and protecting it. That's what we have to think about. When we talk about this, the humus is a very important component to be discussed. You know all that it has very high cation exchange capacity. So by that, it has a high nutrient holding capacity, water holding capacity, and based on its properties, it can create a lot of soil aggregates, resulting in the porosity of the soil, then improvement in the soil fertility, assisting the gaseous exchange capacity of the soil, serving as a food. Like that, we can see it has very greater role in the chemical, physical, and biological property of the soil. So humus is one of the very important component to be focused, concentrated by anyone involved in the agriculture, especially the farmers, how they build up this humus in their soil. That is a very critical factor. So when you talk like this, there is a question. It's also for all the scientific community, especially to question the success of Green Revolution. Several people may be claiming that the Green Revolution is very successful. To my understanding and opinion, if you see, the Green Revolution was only due to the accumulated humus, due to good organic cultivation practices before 1960s and 70s. So what happened when in 1960s and 70s, when the chemical fertilizers were introduced, the accumulated humus present in the soil was helpful to store the nutrients from the chemical fertilizers and to release them for plant use that resulted in increased crop production. So what happened later on, the farmers thought that that's a magic. The farmers failed to produce or failed to practice humus forming methods, thinking that the salt fertilizers are enough to increase the crop production. So resulted in decrease in humus content of the soil, and the soil has lost the capacity to store the nutrients for the plant use. So this is my understanding that how the other aspects are there, improved varieties, all the other aspects in improvement in the irrigation systems are all there. But without this building block, the humus, nothing would have happened as to have a success in the green revolution. So like farmers who are attending this seminar should mainly focus on how they can build up the humus in the soil. There are different methods in the natural ecosystem. If you see the soil fertility, the sustainable soil fertility can be achieved by normally the biomass available. Then it is allowed to work upon by the native microbes and earthworms. So what we are doing is we are creating a living soil to produce humus and increased microbial and biological activity in the soil. We can discuss a lot of other methods how to increase the humus content in the soil in the course of my session now. But here the farmer's responsibility is also how cleverly we are utilizing the available natural resources in a given location, as well as how they are utilizing the waste generated in any farm. In that, first aspect is really the wealth is the crop waste. So this is a very easy process, like for the farmers. They can adapt this in their arable conditions, like after every cultivation of crop, they have to incorporate them into the soil, especially using the disc harrow. Then after that, they have to also, as a new practice, they can introduce humus forming bacteria. Like, for example, the CPP manure or sprinkling the BD500. Or even now there is a natural input, there is an input been introduced called the waste decomposer. So these things can be introduced after incorporating the biomass from the crop waste. But my request to the farmers will be to avoid repeated use of rotavator to incorporate the biomass, because it destroys the soil structure, and it is in long run you can see the clay pan developing maybe 15 to 18 inches below the surface of the soil, which will create waterlogging, low infiltration, everything. So the farmer should be really careful in using rotavator, because the finishing look of the rotavator usage may be convincing, but it is not a very good machine to utilize for a long run. Probably once in a year it's okay, fine, but in a long run it is not advisable to use that on a regular basis. So because that also is we have to keep it in mind, the certain tools and implements what we are using should support the porosity of the soil, maintaining the soil structure and everything. But whatever the instruments that's against and destroying should be avoided to the extent possible. Then, like apart from the incorporation, the green manuring is one of the very important practice, but nowadays farmers are more active, and I would say, I put it in another word, is called greedy. They have to use every minute or a day without any gap in growing certain crops, but it is not possible. So you have to allot at least 1 or 2 months in between the growing period in a year to have green manuring. So when you talk about green manuring, It's just to increase the organic, it increases the organic carbon resulting in the humus formation. This practice is actually to introduce the soft biomass with narrow CN ratio into the soil for decomposition. As said before, we have to also use human farming bacteria after introducing into the soil for proper decomposition. See, this green manure, when we talk about green manure, people will talk from where and how it is possible to get so much quantities. But in olden days, if you think the olden days practice was this off-farm green manuring, which they collect the herbs and shrubs from the natural regrowth from villages along the lakes, rivers, and incorporate them into the soil during the field preparations. And you can also think of on-farm green manuring, which can be achieved by 3 ways. One is planting the permanent green manuring trees. There are several permanent green manuring trees like Gliricidia, even neem. Then you have several other like species like acacia species. Then you have Albizia species, so many things. Like I cannot go into the details nowadays due to lack of time because I have been given only 45 minutes to complete. So you can think about how to introduce the permanent green manuring trees along in the bunds with around 30 to 40 feet gap in an east-west direction. And just simplified the practice to your understanding, but in details we can, if needed, we can discuss later on. And another thing is developing life fence along your boundaries, which can be pruned on a regular basis to collect biomass for your green manuring, compost making, or vermicompost, anything. Even raising of hedgerows. This is also along the pathways, whenever you have, or in vacant places, you can do that. The last but least is the growing of the green manure in situ, like in the same field. Like, there are certain species like danger, sun hemp, cowpea, or nowadays farmers are even using multi-species seeds with grains, pulses, oil seeds, and growing them and incorporating them before flowering. That's a very important aspect. So like that, we can talk a lot about the green manuring, which is one of the very important, you can say, the cultivation practice to improve the soil fertility on a regular basis. Then the third aspect will be the application of biodynamic compost. It's one of the forgotten practices nowadays. Like, applying of compost. Some people, they use the farmyard manure, especially I have to point out here, in a dry season, they dump all this farmyard manure in a dry place and allow them to dry, where most of the nitrogen will be volatilized. So it's more or less some residues will be there. That's why when we talk about farmyard manure, our scientific community will itself tell that there will be very less nitrogen in it, but it is not so. It is the wrong handling of the farmyard manure makes it inferior now. So the compost, if you want to talk, it itself is a 2-hour discussion about how to make a compost. So it is nothing but like utilizing local resources, minerals, crop waste, and animal waste. In most of the compost, we are not using some minerals. We have to introduce that. It's nothing but the production of good quality humus in a controlled situation by the microbial action. That is compost. If you take vermicompost, the same thing, but instead of microbial action, we are leaving the earthworms to do the decomposition process. So this biodynamic compost or the compost is also, the nutrient content varies according to the type of material what you have used. So it is the very good way of applying the humus into the soil. Even farmers can think about enriching their farmyard manure or goat pellets or any other animal waste with their fodder waste with proper decomposition. Here, I'm talking about the biodynamic compost means there are certain cultures numbered as BD 502 to 507, which if you introduce it, regularize the decomposition process and prevents the loss of nutrients from the compost making process. So if people are interested, be in touch with me, like we can discuss how to really prepare a biodynamic compost with more nutrients, especially the available nutrients will be more in that. Then if we talk about the increasing the soil fertility, the other very critical factor is the microbial population. Like microbes, nowadays it's been realized that the microbes are very essential for soil fertility management. There are several ways by which they are serving us, like nitrogen fixers, decomposers, solubilizers. Even if when you go, they also produce a lot of plant growth hormones, several things. That itself is another world to be studied properly for our effective utilization. But the sad part is we are using microbes. At the same time, we are also utilizing certain inputs to kill them, damage them. So that's a very sorry part of our agricultural activity that is happening. You are using biofertilizers and everything. At the same time, you are using certain fertilizers which can kill them. But I don't know how far, like they can coexist together scientifically. So there are so many beneficial microbes available. They're commercially available nowadays. I'm happy that there are so many things, especially I'm not going to talk about the trade names, but we have to understand the main things like Azospirillum, even Acetobacter is there, Phosphobacterium, the potash mobilizer, zinc mobilizer, even sulfur mobilizer is there, sulfur solubilizer is there, Rhizobium, mycorrhiza. So these are all like commercially available microbes which have to be, these are the things to be utilized in our cultivation of different crops, which helps us. Apart from that, now we have also the biodynamic preparation called BD 500. It's called horn manure, which is prepared utilizing the lactating milk, milking cows, cow dung, which is buried, utilizing the cow horn in the winter season and taken. And here in the biodynamic concepts, we are using the homeopathic principles for applying that. So if people are interested, there will be certain seminars like the workshops for 5 days to 6 days. People can attend that to know more about that. And similarly about BD 502 to 507, these are all like cultures which can be utilized in making biodynamic compost, liquid manures, and CPP manure. So when you are using these cultures while preparing these manures like compost or liquid manures, and when you are in turn utilizing it in the crop cultivation, that increases the microbial population in the soil. Then we can also think about the other ways of how to utilize certain liquid manures to increase the soil fertility. So what is the basis? We have to accept the indications of the soil analysis, which will give you whether it is which element is deficient, whether it's nitrogen deficient soil or potash or phosphorus deficient soil. Based on that indications, we have to think of producing certain liquid manures. It can be produced by decomposition or fermentation process, by natural minerals, animal waste, and farm waste. the best thing is it will be ready within 3 to 4 months, and it can be used through the fertigation. Easy to apply it to the soil, the liquid manures. Even now, the very frequently used and familiar one is called Jivamrutam, which comes under the Vedic farming system. That also can be utilized, which will introduce lot of microbes as well as the humus into the soil. So we have to think about this also as a liquid manure, how to increase the soil fertility. The last but the least, I would say, like, it is the different oil cakes. They are available. That's the extraction of after the oil, like the ground and oil cake or castor oil cake. You have the neem cake or mahu oil. So there are so many commercially available oil cakes present. But see to that they are not taken from the treated with solvent extracted. It is better to avoid solvent extracted oil cakes, but it is the only thing available mostly. That also is against the microbial population in the soil. When you apply, that can kill. Okay, so then when we talk about the increasing in the soil fertility, what is the role of ecosystem with the biodiversity in it? That also, it's a topic to be discussed, and you have to think about that. It includes diversity within and among the species or in the ecosystems, because the change in the biodiversity can influence the supply of ecosystem services. That's another term. Ecosystem services should be also we have to pay more attention to that also. The biodiversity, as with the ecosystem services, must be protected nowadays. That's a very important task and sustainably managed. But when you talk about biodiversity in agricultural land, biodiversity with local weeds is not accepted by considering them as nutrient competitors of the cultivated crops. All our agronomy professors and scientists will be serious about it, but it is a matter of how we manage the weeds. It's not, I'm saying that you have to allow all the weeds to grow and do the damage, but there are certain ways how we can manage the weeds. Maybe in a very close, the annual crops, very close planting, it is not possible, but with the wider spacings, it is possible for coexistence. It is how we look at it and how we have experienced it. Because when we talk about weed, we have a very negative feeling about that. But when you talk about the biodiversity, it is not just to need it for getting variety of biomass for incorporating into the soil, but if you crucially think, it is the place or it is the way to maintain your natural predators for pest and pest management. Excuse me, this. Sorry. So this is another aspect. Like nowadays, the organic farms are maintained with an ecosystem needed for chemical farming, and then substituting the chemical inputs with organic inputs. This is the state. Now, when you talk about organic farming, this is what is happening. That is a sad part of it. That is why, with unsuitable ecosystem in an organic farming area, there is the need for use of lot of agro inputs, especially for pest and fertility management. So here, how we develop an ecosystem suitable is a very critical factor. Instead of having the wrong perception and approach towards weed, for us I would say the weeds are nature's own healing mechanism of several nutrient deficiencies in the soil. Our friends, my classmates, my beloved classmates who are the professors and scientists, this is one request we have to keep it in mind. And there are so many research going on now, like, what weeds they tell us. So we can, if people are open-minded, like we can discuss a lot about this, because for me, weeds are nature's own healing mechanism of several nutrient deficiency in the soil. Probably before going to the other thing, I can tell you one example for us to think about is the Mimosa pudica. Touch me not. Check where this plant is growing well. It will grow only well in a new nitrogen deficient soil, because the purpose of the nature to introduce this Mimosa pudica is to replenish the nitrogen through the nodules. Even it has a protection with the thorns, so the animals cannot very easily eat. Nature is so clever to protect itself. This is one thought process I'm giving you people to think about why weeds are coming. There is a particular answer for it, and you can think about. Even another question I can give it to our people: why the succession in the ecosystem is happening. It is for us to think about, the scientific community to think about. I also came from that. You have to think about why succession is taking place in an ecosystem. Okay, so what happens is, what to do is, like, the weeds can be incorporated as a type of a green manuring. Before the flowering, it has to be incorporated into the soil. The same thing, like, if you are doing slash weeding in a orchard, plowing and incorporating them with the descaro is an easy way of, you can say, green manuring the orchards in arid climatic condition. See, when we talk about introducing sun hemp or danger, maybe very difficult, but if you allow the weeds to grow for a particular period, and if you incorporate them into the soil, that itself will help us to increase the organic carbon into the soil. I hope now several people will be having difference of thinking, but let us, you can say, sleep with that or probe into the details later on. Enhancing, see, another aspect is how to enhance the earthworm population. Because the earthworm population, well-known factor, how it increases soil fertility in several ways. The easy way is, like now, as I told you, like the usage of liquid manure, Jivamurdam, if you're adding a little bit of ghee, lightly more, and ferment it for some days and utilize it, that it itself will attract the earthworms and helps in the earthworm multiplication. Similarly, like, we have to use like vermicompost using the anistic type of earthworms. What commercially available is from the epigetic earthworms. They may not be able to survive, even if the cocoons are available in the vermicompost. They may not be able to survive because you have to study their dwelling habit and eating habits, So for me, like, my suggestion will be, like, if you want to introduce more earthworms into your soil, use the vermicompost developed using the anistic type of earthworm. Very important, because that it's a burrowing type, so it improves the porosity. That's a physical property of the soil. Then, so far what we have discussed is all how we increase the soil fertility. I can give few more ideas about how we maintain. That is, the crop rotation is one of the very important practice. When we talk about crop rotation, people may think, how it can. it is actually a very important soil nutrient management method because it can give the possibility of utilizing the nutrients from different horizons of the soil, as well as to avoid depletion of particular nutrients from the soil. The very classical example is the repeated cultivation of paddy has led to the zinc deficiency. Similarly, if you see the continuous cultivation of vegetables can lead to boron deficiencies. It's because of the monocropping pattern we have. No cropping rotation, crop rotation is there. So what are the bases? Like there are three bases. I'm not going to go into depth of this, but I can give you certain criteria through which how to change the crops every season based on the root growth. If you're growing shallow rooted, go for a deep rooted. Then based on the different type of crops grown, like greens or grains, root crops, vegetables, keep changing on it. Then there are certain nutrient giving plants, nothing but the legumes. You should have at least one legume in growing season. Okay, then in terms of maintaining the soil fertility, the regulating the soil pH, most of the farmers fail to do this. Whatever the effort you are taking will not be beneficial if you are not able to regulate the pH of the soil, because the pH of the soil only is a mechanism for the availability of nutrients in the soil. The availability of nutrient in the soil is decided by the pH of the soil. So the pH, regulating the pH with addition of specific soil amendments is a very critical one, and it has to be carried out at least every alternative years. You have to check how the pH level in the soil, because whatever the effort you are taking to increase the soil fertility will not be of great use. Then these are the two things I should say: the crop rotation and the regulating the pH, is maintaining the soil fertility. Then the protection, like, whatever the steps you are taking, if you are not able to protect the soil fertility, makes no sense. So in that way, the soil and water conservation also has a major role, because we have to conserve the rainwater and the topsoil. You can do several ways, like contour bunds, spillways, check dams, and so many things, mainly to reduce the runoff and to reduce the loss of topsoil by sheet erosion. Because whatever the effort we are taking to prevent, it has to be prevent the loss of soil fertility during heavy rainy season. That's a very important time. We are facing a lot of unexpected rains, During that time, our topsoil should not be carried away and our soil fertility should not be lost. So even if you talk about soil fertility, the soil and water conservation is a very crucial factor nowadays due to the uncertainty or in the climatic conditions. Then we talk about the mulching, especially in a dry season. You know how it will be, to protect the soil, even to reduce the mineralization of humus, the disintegration of organic matter, even to protect the microbes and the earthworms, which are suffering during the high temperature, even often killed. So we have to think about the role of mulchings. We have to use the mulch. I'm not talking about the plastic mulch. Kindly avoid that. That itself is maybe looking good, but it is not. There are certain mulches with the cloth, with the breathing type. You can use that. But if you are using organic waste, crop waste as a mulch, after a period of time, it also increases the soil fertility, and it can also suppress the growth of weeds. So we can talk a lot about mulch. So my suggestion is, especially in the orchards and in other areas, this mulching should be practiced properly, especially during the summer season. Similarly, now the new concept is to grow the cover crops in between, especially the orchards in between, that is the interspaces. it has to be covered. It's considered as a live mulch. It can be grown from the tree basin. There are certain legumes, creeping legumes, which can be utilized, especially if you go into the Kerala, like you can see Mucuna purpurea and a few other species available, which are creeping, but at the same time, it protects the soil from direct sunlight. Especially the direct sunlight can affect the humus and the soil microbes population. So the same thing, like the cover crops also provide the similar services of the mulching. Okay, it's getting time, so I should give you the overview of this discussion. Mainly in the fluctuating state of the soil fertility due to crop cultivation, climatic conditions, our recommendation is developing each farm as a unique living organism with its inherent characters. Basically, that is one of the very important approach in the biodynamic farming system, how to treat them. So in such condition, we have discussed already about how to maintain the soil fertility by different organic manures, certain management to increase, and how to manage the soil fertility, protecting the soil and everything. So you have to keep those things into practice, put them into practice. So by careful execution of the above mentioned different concepts, it is possible to develop a sustainable ecosystem. I repeat once again, that's a very important aspect, how we develop a sustainable ecosystem to maintain the soil fertility. See, apart from getting, like, the last but least to say, like, apart from sustaining the crop production and getting good quality food, we will be able to also get several other benefits. One of the very important is the carbon sequestration. This is the act of increasing the soil organic carbon in a best way to mitigate the global climatic changes. So if all the farmers realizes the importance of this benefit, they have to work seriously during the process of increasing and managing the soil fertility, because this is one of the very important thing, like carbon sequestration. We also talk about carbon trading, carbon footprints. These are all there are several things to be looked upon, but this can be achieved by the farmers. Like, if they carefully do the composting, green manuring, they are the saviors to have this carbon sequestration. And the last one is, I'm worried about also the ecosystem services. The ecosystem services are many and varied benefits to human beings provided by the natural environment and from a healthy ecosystem. So ecosystem services make human life possible. For example, providing nutritious food, clean water, regulating disease and climate, supporting the pollination of crops and soil formation. There are so many other ecosystem services. If you develop a good ecosystem in your farm, even a small piece of land can be converted into a healthy ecosystem. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer whatever possible.
Thank you, Dr. Jerome, for your thought-provoking lecture on this soil fertility management.
Thank you.
And any questions from student side? No.
So silent.
Okay.
Maybe they can write their questions in through my email ID or through the WhatsApp. They can convey their questions. I can answer them. Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Dhansekhar. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. S. Srinivasan, Associate Professor, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, to introduce the second speaker, Dr. Samarendra Hazarika, Principal Scientist, HOD of ICRRC for NEH region, Meghalaya.
Dr. Samarendra, sir, is available, sir. Sir, Dr. Samarendra Hazarika, sir. Yes, sir. So it's a great pleasure, and I'm very, very proud to introduce the speakers for this second session of this virtual conference. So Dr. Samarendra Hazarika, the Principal Scientist, Head, the System Research and Engineering, Meghalaya. He has a very good CV. He has started a program from Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat. He has completed his PG and PhD IRA in New Delhi. He has got 2 PDF, the postdoctoral fellow, one from University of the Sydney, Australia, the another one from the University of Plymouth from UK. He started his the professional career as a soil scientist, and he became a principal scientist and a nodal officer. And now presently he is working as a head the department, the division System Research Engineering. So he has a very expertise in the acid soil management and the soil quality assessment. He standardized the techniques for the amelioration of acid soils. So he's achieved many awards, starting from with his career, what awards is there he has achieved. For example, so he has achieved that the IRI Junior Research Fellowship, the Senior Research Fellowship, the Commonwealth PhD for PhD program, Commonwealth Fellowship, and Endeavour Fellowship. And he nominated as a member of the advisory committee for the Forest, Department of Forest. And he has worked with this, the government of Assam and government of Meghalaya. So he was the outstanding reviewer by the Elsewhere Netherlands. He has developed the many technologies. So few are abiotic stress, the tolerant rice varieties. For this work, he methylene blue, the spot test for cation exchange capacity, the estimating in the acid soils, lime pelleting technology to improve the pulse production in acid soils. So many technologies he has developed. So he has the researchers, he has completed the projects from the funding agencies like ICAR, DPT, NATP, Oil India Limited, and tribal sub-plans. So with this, the strong background, I kindly request Dr. Samarendra Hazarika sir to present the valuable speech in this session. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? A very good morning to all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So I'm Dr. S. Hazarika. I'm working as a principal scientist and head division of system research engineering. I have been assigned a topic that is soil health management in the context of climate change. Basically, I'm not a climatologist, but I am a soil scientist. So I am going to present how the soil system is affected by this climate change and what the strategy we should adopt to mitigate this effect. So,
Slides.
Right.
Desktop. Sir.
share.
Yes, sir. Zoom, sir. So maximum, sir. Listen, maximum, sir. Share the screen sharing. Slide to the side, sir. Share. Video.
Is it
Sir.
visible?
No, sir, your video is not visible, sir, and also your slides, sir. Share your screen, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, sir. Kindly switch on the video also, sir. Webcam.
This is a problem. What shall I do?
Is the
Hello? Yeah, I'm trying with this one. Some problem.
Okay, sir. Oh, left right. Phone la connect aayirukonu sir, left right. Net phone net connect disconnect. Yes, sir. Your slides are visible, sir. Sir. Sir, your slides are visible, sir. You continue, sir. Kindly change into presentation mode, sir. Okay, sir. Now, okay, sir. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir. Sir,
Is it all right now?
Yeah. Now okay, sir. Now okay, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay. So this climate change is a reality now. The climate change has become a serious issue in the recent years and seriously affecting the agriculture, particularly the developing countries. So for India is concerned, more than 85% people, farmers belong to small and marginal category, and their risk-bearing capacity is very low, and their livelihood is seriously affected. So this, to monitor the climate change globally, this one observatory was installed in 1950 at Mauna Loa. It is a observatory in Hawaii. So this observatory is monitoring the changes in the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere since 1850. And now we can see the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere has increased from 280 ppm during 1850 to now it is more than 420 ppm. Similarly, this nitrous oxide emission also it is increased, and the concentration of nitrous oxide has increased from 270 ppb parts per billion to 331 per ppb during 2019. And so far as methane is concerned, so it was nearly 800 ppb during 1850, but now it has come to 1,876 ppb. That means there is a major change in the concentration of these gases and seriously affecting the atmosphere, and now it has caused the global warming. If we see the statistics, every year in the atmosphere, we are adding 40 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide globally. So these are serious consequences of this greenhouse gas emission, and we are now feeling the heat of the climate change. Now it has become more perceptible. Now every living organism, especially the animal, then the human being, they are feeling the brunt of this climate change in the globe. So what I see, the two major reasons for this climate change, anthropogenic reasons, the population explosion and human greed. Population explosion, when there is a population explosion, we need more food, more fuel, more fodder. So, but our agricultural land is limited. Therefore, the people, they have expanded their agricultural land by deforestation. And because of the land use change, there is a increase in we're contributing these greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. Then intensive agriculture, because the age-old practice of agriculture, they cannot afford food, the fiber and fuel to the demand of these ever-increasing demand of this population. So therefore, we have switched over from old system to this intensive agriculture, where fertilizer, pesticide, irrigation, and mechanizations are there. This solely depend on these intensive agriculture practices. Because of the adoption of these fertilizer use and pesticide use, irrigation, and mechanization, there's a lot of change in the soil, health, and a lot of emission of gases from the soil to the atmosphere. Then increasing livestock farming, because as I told you, because of the population explosion, we need more this milk, more meat. So therefore, we have expanded this livestock farming. You know that livestock farming is very, very important so far the global warming is concerned, because livestock is a major source of methane emission. Because this livestock, they produce methane during enteric fermentation, and it is released to this atmosphere. So the other causes are the burning fossil fuels. You know, this coal, oil, gas, they are increasing, the use of these increasing. As a result of burning these fossil fuels, the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is increasing day by day. So then others are fluorinated gases that we are using in the refrigeration systems, the different equipments. These are also causing the greenhouse gas emission to the atmosphere, and finally the global warming. So if you look at the per capita greenhouse this gas emission, so India, though India is in this chart, it is the lowest contribution, but this is because the Indian population is very high, more than 135 crores. So therefore, the average per capita this greenhouse gas emission is less as compared to the United States, Russia, Japan, China, European Union, and Brazil. But so far, this total greenhouse gas emission is concerned from India. That is, it comes in the third position after China, after Russia. So if you look at these different sectors, how they're contributing the global greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, if you see the maximum, it comes from the energy sector. Then so far agriculture is concerned, agriculture, forestry, and other land use systems are concerned, their contribution is together, in total 24%. Then so far India is concerned, the sector-wise Indian scenario. So total we are releasing about, we are adding 3,202 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent in the atmosphere. The major contribution from this energy sector it is contributing 68.7%, and agriculture is 19.6%, industrial process 6%. So for forestry is concerned 1.9%, and the land use change is concerned, our contribution is to the this total emission is 3.8%. If you look at the global warming potential of these different major greenhouse gases, especially the carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, the nitrous oxide, the global warming potential is very high. So it is 280 times more than the carbon dioxide, and so far methane is concerned, it is 56 times more than the carbon dioxide. So actually, this nitrous oxide is very dangerous gas so far the global warming is concerned, because this global warming potential is very high. So far this agriculture is concerned, it says that 3/4 of the global anthropogenic nitrous oxide emission is contributed by the agriculture, because this nitrous oxide emission comes because of the heavy use of the fertilizer. Nitrogenous fertilizer we are using a lot because intensive agricultural practices, we have to increase our food production. We are solely dependent on this, apart from other fertilizers, nitrogenous fertilizer, because nitrogen is universally deficient in the soil. So all countries, they go for application of these nitrogenous fertilizers, and they are contributing heavily to the nitrous oxide emission to the globe. So far this climate change is concerned. So far India is concerned, I think you might have seen that the Ministry of Earth Sciences, they have released this report in 2020. If you look at the situation, it's very serious. You see, during this 118 years, 1901 to 2018, the average temperature is risen by 0.7 degrees centigrade in India. And temperature of the warmest day and the coldest night of the year have risen by about 0.6 degrees centigrade and 0.4 degrees centigrade during 1986 to 2015. So this then so far summer monsoon is concerned, summer precipitation is concerned. So it is decreased by almost 6% this during the period 1951 to 2015, with notable decrease over the Indo-Gangetic plains and the Western Ghats. So sea surface temperature is also increasing in tropical Indian Ocean. It is risen by 1 degree centigrade on an average during 1951 to 2015, and frequency of dry spell higher by 27% during 1981 to 2011 period over 1951 to 1980. This is a very serious consequence. It is serious this matter to be discussed, because the dry spell increasing, the agriculture is suffering like anything. Then sea level rise in the North Indian Ocean is also increased by 1.06 to 1.75 millimeter per annum during 1874 to 2044, and has accelerated to 3.3 millimeter per annum during 1992 to 2017. So that is causing a lot of flood in the coastal areas, and significant reduction in the annual frequency of tropical cyclones over the North Indian Ocean basin since the middle of the 20th century. So this is also a serious concern, because we are seeing this effect in the recent years. A lot of cyclone, cyclone, the people they are suffering, especially Odisha, then this Telangana, then the Gujarat. We have seen a lot of this effect of this cyclone in the recent past. So frequency of the very severe cyclonic storm during the post-monsoon season increased significantly during the last 2 decades. But the Hindu Kush Himalaya experienced a temperature rise of about 1.3 degrees centigrade during 1951 to 2014, and several areas of Hindu Kush Himalayas have experienced a declining trend in the snowfall and also retreat of glaciers in the recent decades. These are the reports given by this Ministry of Earth Sciences recently, 2020, and they have also projected the climate change in India under this representative concentration pathway 8.5 scenario. If the business as usual, other business as usual condition, if there is no change, if the same thing happens, if same thing continues, what is going to happen? So the report also said projected. So average temperature in India by 2021 over 1976-2005 is projected to increase by about 4.4 degrees centigrade. You see, the world body, they are concerned about capping the increase in temperature at 1.5 degrees centigrade. But if you see the Indian condition is going to increase, under as business as usual condition up to 4.4 degrees centigrade. It's a matter of concern. Then frequency of the occurrence of warm days and warm nights are projected to increase by 55% and 70%. These analysis also we have done in the Northeast region. What we have seen in what we have collected this data from 36 stations, and we have analyzed, we have seen that 47% of the stations, they have shown there is an increase in the warm days and warm nights. So there, if the warm days are increasing, this will cause the dry spell in the, and agriculture will seriously suffer from moisture deficiency. The frequency of the summer, this April to June, this is a major period of rainfall. So frequency of summer heat waves over India is projected to be 3 to 4 times higher by the end of the 21st century over 1976 to 2005 baseline period. Increasing the mean and variability of monsoon precipitation by the end of 2100, and a substantial increase in daily precipitation extremes. You see, when if you talk before 2 decades, we always talk about the precipitation, that is a rains. But nowadays there is no rain; it only pours. The pouring, because it comes for a very short period of time, and the intensity is so high, and finally it causes a lot of surface runoff and sort of a lot of the nutrient losses from the soil. So the other projection is made by the department of this government of India, this earth science department. What they have said, a hike in likelihood of increasing the likelihood of increasing the frequency, intensity, and area under drought conditions in India by the end of 21st century. That means Indian agriculture is going to suffer seriously. Then sea level rise also, you can see there are about 300 millimeter by 2100 over average, sorry, 1986 to 2005 period, and rise in intensity of tropical cyclones in the North Indian Ocean Basin during current century. These are the projections made by our Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, 2020. So if it happens, so this agriculture in India will be seriously affected. So since the climate change or the global warming has a serious consequence on the soil health, so I want to discuss the impact of this climate change, how it is going to impact the soil quality or soil health. These two terms, soil quality and soil health, they are interchangeably used, but there's a difference in soil quality and soil health. If you talk about the soil quality is the capacity to function. That means the soil has many functions to do, and the major functions, what are those functions? To sustain plant and animal productivity, one of the most important functions, to maintain or enhance water and air quality, and to support human health and habitation. These are major functions of soil. So the capacity to do these functions is called soil quality. But when you talk about soil health, there's a little bit difference with soil quality. Soil health means, because you see, when you talk about soil health, that the health means soil, it's a health term is this used in case of this living system. So human health, animal health, that means why we say soil health, because soil is a living system. You can see there are more organisms in 1 gram of soil than there are humans on the earth. 1 gram of soil, if you take, the number of microorganisms is more than this human population if you combine the globe. That means so much amount of these microorganisms, macroorganisms are there in the soil. It makes the soil a living system. Therefore, we talked about soil health. Soil health means the overall conditions of a soil to carry out functions. Capacity and condition. Capacity of a soil may not be good in a certain period of time to carry out these functions. So in that point of time, we think there is a soil health. That means overall conditions of a soil to carry out the function. Capacity is different, and the current status of the soil to carry out these functions is different. There is a soil health, and the capacity is called soil quality. This soil quality, if you see, if you compare the forest soil, this is the pristine soil, you can say, where this a lot of the soil quality parameters are intact. It is an undisturbed system. So the soil, the capacity of that soil, forest soil, is very high to do the function. But once the forest is cut, or if they convert it to agricultural land, it comes under influence of the management, soil management or crop management practices, and other external factors like sunlight, rain, and air. rain, then air. So after this conversion of forest to this agricultural system, this soil directly comes under these management influences and other external factors. As a result, soil condition or soil the capacity to function changes. And these conditions, after changing, after the influence of the management and sunlight, air, and then we say the soil health. So we can compare the soil health. Suppose it's a cultivated system, how we can compare the soil health of a cultivated system? In that case, what we do, we compare with a adjacent uncultivated soil. There is uncultivated soil is a specific, there's a reference or benchmark condition we say, and we always compare the soil health of a cultivated land with the undisturbed site near to that cultivated land. So this is how we compare the soil health. So I think you must have understood about the soil health and soil quality, how it differs. But these two terms are frequently used. So for soil health is concerned, it is, as a farmer's point of view, soil health is very, very important. Then you see why we need a healthy soil, because the health of a citizen of a country, the health of the citizen of country depends on the good food. And good food, where from it comes from good crop or healthy crops. So that obtain a healthy crop, so your soil health should be optimum. So when the health of the soil is good, it can produce a healthy crop, and that healthy crop, it gives a healthy food. And finally, when we consume this healthy food, our people, our citizens of a country becomes healthy. So that's why the role of soil is very, very important. So far, this health of citizen is concerned, and therefore we are very much concerned in the recent years the deteriorating soil health condition, because if the soil health is health, because it's a worldwide, especially the South Asian countries, they are suffering from zinc deficiency because it is a poor soil health. So if your soil is deficient in nutrients, your crop will be deficient in nutrients, your food will be deficient in nutrients, and finally the people will be weak. Their health condition will be very poor. So you cannot expect the healthy citizen of a country if your soil is very poor. So this soil health indicators, we say the soil, they have three these properties: physical, chemical, and biological properties. See, these properties of a soil, it signifies, it determines the soil health. If the soil physical condition is good but other condition bad, you cannot say it's a soil healthy soil. At the same time, the physical, chemical, and biological properties should be in the optimum condition to make it the soil health sound one. So in simple terms, what I want to try to make you understand, healthy soil also always supply food, water, and oxygen to plants in suitable proportion and balanced way. That is one of the most important criteria of a healthy soil. You will see, when we talk about soil fertility means it should supply nutrients in sufficient quantity in balanced proportion. If the soil health is good, then your fertility is good and your crop is good. So that there is this intricate relationship. They're intricately associated. This soil fertility, soil health is intricately associated. So when your soil is healthy, then it can supply the right proportion of nutrients in balanced way to the crop, and you can expect a very good, healthy crop. And finally, you can get a very healthy food. You see, your soil health can be judged. How? Because depending on the diversity and this population. Some soil may be having population large, they may put very few microorganisms or macroorganisms. In that case, you cannot say it's a healthy soil. But when the diversity is large, if the diversity of microbes, then the organisms, then earthworms, protozoa, then insect, if it is very wide diversity, and if the population in the soil is high, you can say it represents a very healthy soil. So these are some of the indicators of healthy soil. Then earthworm, it's the farmer's friend. So when the population of these earthworm is very high in the soil, you can say it indicates the health of the soil. That means soil health is very good. Because the earthworm is very sensitive to this toxic element in soil, heavy metals, pH sensitive. They are highly sensitive to pH. If the soil is very acidic, in that case, they cannot thrive. They will migrate to some other place. So earthworm is a very good indicator of soil health. Then healthy soil contains higher amount of organic matter. If you compare with the forest soil, you can see the dark brown color in the top of the surface soil, but whereas you cannot see this in case of the agricultural soil, because we go for a lot of this management practices, intensive tillage, then your especially and the other crop management practices, fertilizer application, that reduces the organic carbon, and as a result, the color of the surface soil of the from dark black, it becomes fade away, it becomes lighter, it gives an indication the soil health is decreasing. And a healthy soil, in a healthy soil, immediately after rain, the water enters slowly. It will never flow over the surface. It enters into the soil. That means if the soil is healthy, immediately after rain, the soil, the rainwater, it enters directly into the soil rather than this moving over the surface. So that it gives an indication that if there is no stagnation of water over the soil surface, if it percolates down, that gives an indication immediately after rain, that gives an indication your soil is healthy. Then soil structure. By looking at the soil structure, you can say whether your soil is healthy or not. If you see the granular structure, you can say your soil health is very good. This kind of soil structure usually you find in the forest floor. If you go to the forest, you can easily see this kind of granular structure in soil. But this granular structure you'll never find in agricultural soil, because these soils are under intensive management practices. So this marble structure is converted to some other, this platy or whatever other, this prismatic or different kind of soil structures. This marble structure, it gives an indication that soil health is very good and sound. Then a healthy soil has a range of pore spaces to house organism, nutrients, and water. So you can see when the soil is compacted, this porosity is decreased. The roots, your crop root suffers from oxygen deficiency, especially the upland crops, and water movement is not very stagnation will be there. It's not easy water movement. So this gives an indication that if the soil, the porosity is not in a good range, so your soil is not healthy. So these are some of the indicators of a soil health. Then a healthy soil acts as a filter to clean water from groundwater research. If your soil is healthy, this filtration capacity of the soil is very high. So water filtration, in that case, when the water percolates down the soil, good quality soil, it retains all the these genobiotics, you can say the heavy metal, and other organic pollutants. It binds in the soil particle and it filters in such a way that the good quality water, it percolates down and recharges the groundwater. So why concerned about the soil health and soil quality? You see, now the population there is a population explosion, so increasing food demand. So that's why we have forgotten about the whole age of agriculture, agricultural practices. Now we'll have to increase the cropping intensity. You see now most of the people, they talk about the 300% intensity we have to increase to meet the food demand. But when you increase the intensity of cropping, that means at the same time you are disturbing the soil seriously. So this has seriously impacted the soil health. Shrinking of agricultural land, because due to expansion of agricultural land, the deforestation we require to meet the food demand. So conversion is there. So therefore, this soil health is deteriorating. Agricultural land, then land degradation. So far India is concerned, near about 147 million hectares of land all degraded. It's not because of this or use. This soil degradation or land degradation is because of its abuse. What I always say, it's not because of use, but because of its abuse. So then intensive farming, land degradation, why this is happening? Intensive farming, imbalanced fertilization, because you see, imbalanced fertilization, you can see it's the result of nutrient-based subsidy. So because when you get subsidy in urea, the farmers, they always use urea, they forgot about application of the potash and phosphorus. So that has led to the imbalanced fertilization of soil. As a result, our soil health is seriously affected. Then faulty irrigation, you can say in Punjab, Haryana, and North India, when there is a green revolution, electricity was free, the farmers switch on the pump, irrigation pump, and it allows to run overnight and days after days. But finally, this it has siphoned a lot of the water from the groundwater, and finally the soil has become, the salinity has increased tremendously. So this is a serious effect of faulty irrigation. And dumping of waste, you can see there is no other place, because the moment the population is increasing, a lot of waste generation. So where we are going to dump? We cannot dump waste in the air. We'll have to dump in the soil. So our agricultural land is shrinking because of creation of dumping sites. If you go to the municipality corporation or municipality areas, you can see a lot of agricultural land has been converted to dumping waste. So these are serious consequences of, so far soil health is concerned. And deforestation, I told you, all is a land use change. These has serious impact on the soil health. So we are concerned. Why? Because it is directly associated. Here is a human health. Human health is directly associated with soil health. That's why we are more concerned about the soil health. If soil health is poor, human health will be affected. This health of citizen or country will be seriously affected. And when the health is poor, it is affecting everything. Development of the country will be affected seriously. So realizing the importance, so the government of India, they have introduced soil health card mission in 2014, and they have allocated 100 crores for issuing soil health card to the farmers, so that they can go for this balanced fertilization, and so that they can increase the productivity of the soil or crop. In addition of then they have, the government has also given 56 crores to set up 100 mobile soil testing laboratories across India. You test and go on testing soil, then you apply nutrients based on soil test values. So that's what the government wants, and we'll have to encourage farmers go for application of nutrient based on soil testings rather than blanket application. Then target. So the government has set a target of this issuing 14 crores of the soil health card to the farmers in the year of 3 years. So I think they are going to achieve these targets. So this, when we talk about the soil health, what are the indicators? What indicators? What should be the criteria for selection of indicator? So that they should be very easy to measure, able to measure change in soil function. As I told you, the soil function, different soil function, sorry, it carries out. Then it should represent the criteria, the soil, the health, the indicator should be representative of chemical, biological, and physical properties. As I told you, there are 3 properties that when you select this soil health indicator, it should represent the chemical, biological, and physical properties. And they are accessible to many users and applicable to field condition. So, and they are sensitive to variations in climate and management. So that sort of indicators we should select following this sort of conditions or criteria. So then soil health indicators, I told you the biological, the most important one is soil organic matter. Then soil respiration also indicates soil health, soil biomass, microbial biomass, carbon, microbial biomass, nitrogen, microbial biomass, this phosphorus, potentially mineralizable nitrogen, enzyme activity in soil, because these are very important soil quality parameters, because so far biological this property is concerned, because these are highly sensitive to the management induced changes. So biological property of soil is a very important soil health indicator, because it responds quickly to the soil management practices. Chemical also is a pH, rate of acidification or alkalization, electrical conductivity, leachable salts, absorption, cation exchange capacity, plant available and nutrients. These are chemical indicators of soil. So then physical, these indicators of soil quality does not respond quickly, because it takes time to change. So what we can select: porosity, aggregate stability, and bulk density is a very important soil quality indicators, and soil routing and depths, soil available water and distribution, soil surface. So these are some of the important soil health indicators so far this assessment of soil health is concerned. And so far India is concerned, we have set some critical limit. Organic carbon, if it is more than 0.75%, is very high. So we should try to keep this organic carbon more than 0.75%. If you go to North India, most of the soil has this carbon has below 0.5%. So that means seriously affected because of high intensity, the heat, as well as intensive agricultural practices in Indo-Gangetic plains. Available nitrogen, this is it should be more than 560 if it is high, to make it more than 5 kg per hectare. The brave phosphorus, more than 25 kg you should maintain. Potassium, there is ammonium ester extraction, more than 180 kg per hectare. This is, if you try to maintain 180 because high pH, it should be always more than 5.5. And sulfur should not be less than 10 milligram per kg ppm. So far, this micronutrients is concerned, the critical threshold values are, you can see that DTP extraction zinc 0.6 ppm, iron it should be 2.5 to 4.5 ppm. We should try to maintain above these critical limits. Then only you can get a good this supply of nutrients or micronutrients to the plants. Then manganese, boron, hot water extract 0.5%, earthworm, if it is less than 10 in 0.909 cubic meter volume, so it should be maintained more than 10 under this volume. So these are some critical threshold values. For India is concerned, Indian soil condition is concerned. Then climate change, we will go to climate change, how the climate change is going to affect the soil health under Indian conditions or the Northeast conditions. So that I will project a few that this consequences. Sorry. Are you listening? Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yeah.
Very much.
Is it clear?
Very clear, sir.
Okay. Climate change. So you see, what the projection is that if the temperature is rising, then what will happen? There will be more acidification of soil. The reason behind, you see, when the air temperature is it will increase. At the same time, the soil temperature also increase. But the degree of change in soil temperature will vary depending on soil conditions. Organic matter, the soil, then your structure, water content in the soil, it will vary. But under a certain situation, when the soil air temperature is increased, but soil temperature is also it will going to increase. So the research has shown that if there is an average temperature increase in soil temperature by 2 degrees centigrade, it will increase the soil respiration by 20%. So that means more respiration means more carbon burning. That means more organic matter burning. So when the more organic matter is burned, a lot of carbon dioxide is produced. That carbon dioxide in the soil pores, it will react with soil water and it will fall carbonic acid. That means carbonic acid concentration in the soil will increase. So that will result in more dissolution of your basic cations like calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium in soil. And nowadays we are experiencing very high intensity rainfall. You see, as I told you, nowadays this does not rain, it pours only. This pouring is a very brief period of time. It's a very high intensity rainfall. Under that circumstance, lot of the surface runoff will be there, lot of leaching will be there. And under that situation, this basic cation will move away from soil to a greater depth, or it will move away from one side to other side. And finally, there will be increase in soil acidity. So this is a matter of concern. If the temperature is, as I told you, the 4.4 degrees centigrade is expected under business as usual conditions. If it increases, then average soil temperature will increase and the soil acidity will increase. It's a matter of concern for the Northeast soil and the Orissa, then Kerala, where this acid soil is dominant. So under that circumstance, it is going to have a serious consequence on soil health. Because you know that soil pH is a very, very important soil property or soil health indicator. Because pH, it governs a lot of things, microbial activity in soil, nutrient dynamics, and because if the pH changes, this acidification is there, a lot of toxicity problem will come and a lot of the microbial activity will be affected. So that's why the pH of the soil will be seriously affected if the soil temperature or the air temperature is increases. Then loss of soil organic matter, as I told you, organic matter in soil is an important soil quality or soil health indicator. You see, there are two pathways of loss of soil organic matter. You see, as I told you, when the soil temperature will increase, a lot of respiration will be there. That means we are going to lose a lot of organic matter and this lot of carbon dioxide will produce. So that carbon dioxide will go to the atmosphere. It will contribute immensely from this soil. So therefore, if temperature is increasing, it increases soil respiration will increase and loss of soil organic matter. So other matter you see, when there's a more rainfall, when there is a high intensity rainfall, there's a runoff. So if you look at the bulk density of the soil organic matter, sorry, the particle density, not bulk density, it is 1.5 gram per cc. So if you compare this particle density of soil organic matter with the bulk density with the mineral particle of soil, it's quite difference is there. It's almost, it is 2.65 gram per cc, and soil organic matter is bulk density. When the water flows over the surface of soil, the first soil organic matter will float because it's lighter in weight, so it will preferentially remove. So before mineral particle moves, soil organic matter will move faster, so with high intensity rainfall from the soil. So this is going to happen because nowadays we have seen, you can see now we are not receiving much rainfall in Northeast. Now about 40% deficit in rainfall, and when rainfall comes, then the intensity is very high. But whereas the rainfall is increasing in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Hyderabad, these are basically the dry areas. So there's a lot of change in rainfall pattern. So it is seriously going to affect the soil organic matter from the soil loss. Then if the high intensity precipitation is there, there is a likelihood of increase in topsoil loss due to erosion, increased nutrient loss through leaching and surface runoff, reduction in soil water storage. As I told you, when the organic matter is lost, the soil water storage capacity will be losing. There will be more compaction. So as I told you, this consecutive dry days in India is increasing. So that is, if the organic matter we are going to lose from the soil, it will retain less moisture, and under onset of these dry days, so soil, the crop will be seriously affected. Then more salination due to high evaporative loss of water due to drought, because more the temperature is increasing, less rainfall, lot of this moisture will be lost from the soil, and during that evaporative loss, it will carry this lot of salts from the groundwater, and it will, while it will release from the over the surface, water will go and soil will deposit on the surface of the soil. So there will be likelihood of more salinization in the near future with the increasing temperature and consecutive dry days in our Indian condition. And flooding of agricultural land. So there is you can see the Northeast, we are seriously affected by this flooding of agricultural land. Nowadays, it is in other parts also. It is a serious concern because these are the flash floods. We can talk about nowadays flash floods. So it seriously impacts the agricultural cost, especially rice. So for this, under this context, how the soil this management strategy is required to deal with the impact of climate change. So I will highlight very few this management practices. You see, there are the strategies. Organic matter management, as I told you, it helps in nutrient supply and moisture conservation. So the one strategy should be organic matter management, controlling soil acidity, controlling soil erosion, improving soil water storage, how to improve the soil water through different management practices. Rainwater harvesting, it's a very important strategy. Improving soil structure, how to improve the soil structure, because with the improving soil structure, it will means store a lot of moisture. This nutrient dynamics will be proper. So improvement in soil structure also, we have to do some management practices that improves the soil structure. Then holistic approach, integrated farming system, agroforestry, and conservation agriculture. These are some of the holistic approach to deal with the climate change. I'll explain one by one. So organic matter management, you see nowadays a lot of hue and cry about the crop residue burning. So that is going to seriously affect the soil organic matter in the soil. So instead of burning, so we should try to incorporate this crop residue in the soil. So in this case, this crop residue incorporation, you have seen that it is becoming a very serious practice, and this Indian agriculture, especially in the North India and South India, they have developed very good seed drill. So this is happy seed drill. You might have heard about the happy seed drill. So they drill the seed at the same time they cut the residue and they incorporate in the soil. This sort of intervention is required. This sort of mechanization is required to improve the organic matter management in soil. Instead of burning, we should go for incorporation of crop residue in the soil. So then soil application of organic manures, then FYM, compost, biogas plant slurry. So these are the source of organic matter you should apply in the soil to manage the organic matter in the soil. Incorporation of crop residue, as I told you, incorporation of legume in cropping system, because the role of legume is very good. So for soil fertility buildup is concerned, apart from building up of soil fertility, nitrogen supply, it also has the potential to sequester more carbon as compared to cereal crops. So incorporation of legume in the cropping system should be adopted. Then green manuring is a very important cover crop. Then conservation agriculture. So this is a serious topic in the recent years. Conservation agriculture, zero tillage, minimum tillage. This sort of practice we should follow to improve for management of organic matter in the soil. Then soil acidity management is concerned. Furrow liming. You see, our farmers, especially the Indian farmers, most of the farmers, they come under the category of this small and marginal. That means more than 85% of our Indian farmers, they belong to this category. So this lime requirement of our Indian soil, especially the Orissa, the Northeast, then in your Kerala, they are very high. It goes up to 18 tons per hectare. But this amount of this lime, our this small and marginal farmers, they cannot apply because they are resource poor. They cannot purchase lime, so much amount of lime, so they cannot apply. So keeping in view of that, in a network project of ICR, they have developed the furrow liming for each crop, but the quantity is reduced to a great extent. With 400 kg lime per hectare in furrow, if you apply, you can get a very yield of the. That is actually an experimental field from Northeast, our station. We have conducted this kind of experiment. We have seen. So in case of the without furrow liming, you can expect 2 tons maize, but it's a very low under highly acid conditions. Our soils are highly acidic. If we go for furrow liming,
Sir? Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Yes. Sir? Sir, can you hear me?
hello. Share.
Now, okay, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's okay.
Sorry for disturbance because some problem with the internet. Lime pelleting also we have tried to reduce the amount because the poor farmers, they cannot afford lime. Therefore, we have reduced the amount to 150 to 300 gram per kg of boll seeded crop. We have, in case of France bean, we have tried and we have seen there is a 12 to 14% increase as compared to the country. Other liming practice, it is no doubt is more than this lime pelleting. But if the farmers, they can afford 150, the 10 to 15 kg of lime for 150 to 300 kg of seed, then at least they can increase the productivity by 12 to 14% as compared to the this control where there is no lime application. Then alternative to agricultural lime, we also tried the paper mill sludge. It is a very good this liming agents we have tried. So it is equally effective like the agricultural lime. And apart from that lime, we have tried to use some organic matter. So we have evaluated some organic manure to replace the lime. So we have tried poultry manure, pig manure, compost, and we have found that the ash alkalinity of these organic manures, and we have found that poultry manure is 1000 kg of poultry manure is equivalent to 449 kg of calcium. That means it is an excellent liming material, you can say, because this can be used as a substitute of lime in case of acid soil. Because why the poultry manure is good so far lime equivalent is concerned? Because the poultry manure, especially in the layer birds, that they give a lot of calcium supplement. That calcium supplement reappears in their excreta, and that gives a very high ash alkalinity of the poultry manure. So as a result, it has a very high lime equivalent, calcium carbonate equivalent. Also, we have found that. So this is an excellent this manure that can be substituted for lime. We have conducted pot experiment, field experiment. We have seen it is highly effective so far. This acid soil management is concerned. Then nowadays a big concept is coming, biochar application. You might have heard about biochar for soil acidity management because biochar is having very high pH. Of course, this pH of biochar depends on this temperature, at what temperature it is produced. So I will show you how it is affecting. So the circle actually, this use of circle, this concept has come from the Amazon basin. It was actually 2,500-year-old practice. And in Amazon basin, dark color soil, they have first this identified, and they, in their own language, they tell this name of the soil is Terra Preta de Indio. It was this effect of this soil on crop production or the crop soil fertility was first recognized or discovered by this one of the Dutch scientists, Wim Sombroek. You might have heard, being a soil scientist, you might have heard. In 1950s, he has discovered this kind of soil, and he has categorically found out the importance of this soil in supplying the plant nutrients and the maintaining the soil fertility. So then this biochar research also we are conducting in our institute. We have installed a biochar plant at the cost of 70 lakhs. So this feeding is 300 to 400 kg per hour. We can feed this plant, and it takes hardly 15 minutes to produce biochar. We have tested and we have produced this biochar. How this temperature, pyrolysis temperature, it affects the soil pH. You can see if the temperature is increased, the pH of the biochar increase because ash content in the biochar increases. So that the pH of the biochar depends on the pyrolysis temperature, what we have seen in our case. So we have tested this biochar under field conditions, how it affects the soil pH and how it affects the moisture conservation. So your maize, rice maize, the upland rice conditions we have tested under this cropping system. We have produced biochar from 3 feedstock, that is wheat biomass, maize residues, and pine wood biomass. So we have used this biomass for production of this biochar at 450 degrees centigrade. What we have observed, the pH of among these feedstock, wheat biochar is very high, 9.83, and total nitrogen, total phosphorus, and potash content so in the wheat biochar is relatively higher as compared to maize stock biochar and pine wood biochar. We have applied this biochar under field conditions. We have seen how it has affected the acid soil of Northeast. So we have characterized the biochar. You can see this. So for wheat biochar is concerned, its physical characters is very good as compared to the other these feedstocks. With biochar, you can see the bed surface area is very high, total pore volume is high, and average pore radius is also high in case of wheat biochar. That means when you apply this biochar, 3 types of biochar in this maize fence bin cropping system, following these treatments, and we have also applied in rice mustard cropping systems in a soil having pH 4.51. So we have tried these different kind of biochar, different rate of application, and we have seen, you can see the pH. So under this, when this biochar we have applied, the pH of the soil from 4.56 to increase up to 5.13. So that means see, if a minor change in pH, it affects seriously in the soil fertility. Slight increase in pH, it will increase the soil nutrient dynamics, it will help. It will increase the nutrient availability, especially the phosphorus. In our soil, phosphorus is very critical. So if 1 unit, you can see if you increase the pH from 4.56 to 5.13, it's a major increase in the CH. So it's more than one unit. So that is seriously affecting the availability of phosphorus. Soil phosphorus availability is increased many times when there is a small increase in the pH of the soil. So you can see that with increasing biochar application, the pH of the soil is increased. That means we have seen that this biochar application has a important, it plays a significant role in soil pH acidity management, especially in our Northeast condition. It has to be tested across the country. Then you can see the yield also that these crops, maize, French bean, then rice, mustard, in all the cases, in case of biosoil application, it is significantly higher compared to the control. And the controlling soil erosion, because the soil, this intensity of rainfall is increasing, so that there's a serious consequences in soil erosion. So how to control this soil erosion under this climate change situation. So conservation agriculture is a very important agriculture. So for this soil, this conservation is concerned. Everybody knows that there are three principles. There's a three principles in conservation agriculture: minimum soil disturbance, permanent soil cover, and diversified cropping. There are three principles we'll have to maintain for conservation of soil. So far, this soil erosion is concerned due to climate change. So this we'll have to advocate. We'll have to seriously consider this adoption of the conservation agricultural practices to mitigate the soil, or to resist or to reduce the extent of soil erosion due to climate change. So this practice we should advocate. Then you can see the minimum soil disturbance, it should be less than 25%. The minimum soil disturbance, it means that the disturbed soil should be less than 15 centimeter wide or less than 25% of the cropped area. So moreover, this soil minimum tillage and zero tillage, these are being practiced to minimize the soil disturbance under this climate change scenario. We are getting very good results under this minimum soil disturbance practices. So far, the mustard is concerned, we have proof that we can adopt to significant extent. So far, mustard cultivation is concerned in Northeast. Then at least 30% of the soil surface should be covered with plant residue, previous crop, and weeds directly after planting. So if we maintain residue over the soil crop, because that will conserve soil, it will conserve moisture, it will improve the microbial activity in soil, and finally it will improve the soil health. Then diverse crop rotation, that is because incidence of this soil-borne pathogen is very high. So in that case, if we go for diverse crop rotation, so in that case, it will improve the soil health. Because you see, because of climate change, increase in temperature, increase in humidity, the insect population and the incidence of this fungal and bacterial diseases, it is increasing. So under that situation, the diverse crop rotation should be followed. And it is one of the most important principle under conservation agriculture. Then, so far Hilly is concerned, minimum for soil disturbance, the ICR research complex, we have developed this model, in which model we have to keep the top portion of the hill under forest, middle portion for horticultural crop. As you know that Northeast is very famous for agricultural, the horticultural crops. So the ICR has advocated the middle portion, 1/3 portion of the this hill slope should be maintained for horticultural crop, and lower portion, 1/3 portion of the total slope should be used for annual production of crops like vegetables, cereals like maize and rice, upland rice. So this one of the most practiced by farmers of Northeast in this model among the farmers. Apart from that, another few models have been developed. So hedgerow planting in the terrace land, so with nitrogen fixing crops. So that is one hedgerow plantation. That is one model. In between terraces, we grow the hedgerow. That leaf, when after clipping, it is incorporated in the soil. It improves the soil fertility, it conserves moisture, and it reduces the soil erosion. So upland, this is one model, upland paddy plus hedgerow plus cassimane, that is an important crop of Northeast. So we have developed this kind of model to address the soil loss due to climate change or due to high intensity of rainfall. Then moisture stress management is concerned, because as I told you, this moisture will be soil moisture will be seriously affected due to high rise in temperature or this because of soil erosion. Because when there is a soil erosion, organic matter is lost. So because soil organic matter plays a vital role in conservation of moisture. So moment the soil organic matter is lost, soil is going to reduce capacity to store water. So under that, you see in case of pineapple, significantly improve this productivity of the crop because of the moisture conservation and your weed management. So loss of moisture from the soil. So because of the mulching, these are actually demonstration we have carried out in Nagaland. So we have got a very good results because of this mulch polythene, polymulch in case of the this pineapple. And this biomulch in case of the ginger and turmeric. Ginger, turmeric is a very important crop of Northeast. So we have successfully demonstrated this kind of technology to the farmers. So this biomulch, because it's so far Northeast is concerned, a lot of your biomass is produced. This cropped and non-cropped area, it produces 5 to 20 tons of biomass per hectare. So there's a lot of scope for utilization of this biomass for biomulch. So we are using this kind of biomulch for the production of this high value crops like this ginger and turmeric. Then rainwater harvesting. So this is the Jalkund, we say 30,000 liter capacity. They conserve rainwater harvesting, and that rainwater harvesting, the smaller than marginal farmers, they use for this kitchen garden. They use it for kitchen garden as well as for this livestock, because you see in hills there's a lot of scarcity during the moisture or the water during these winter months, because rainfall is very scanty during winter months. So the farmers, they conserve rainwater in the polythene line, this rainwater harvesting structure. That water is used for life-saving irrigation of crops during this winter months, because winter months the farmers, they grow a lot of vegetables. For these vegetables, water scarcity is a very great problem, and the farmers, they maintain this irrigation from utilizing the water from this Jalkund. So I have projected one woman from her this small kitchen garden. She could fetch about 27,000 rupees for this. Then drip irrigation is very high.
Your
So,
voice breaking, sir.
is it coming now?
Sir,
Hello.
your voice is breaking, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, now clear, sir.
Is it coming clear?
Yeah, yes,
Actually,
sir.
because the Northeast, sometimes this connectivity problem is there, so that's why this is like that.
Okay, sir.
Sorry for that. So one more the option is for drip irrigation, because the drip irrigation amount of water requirement is very less, use efficiency is very high. So in our conditions, we have demonstrating this drip irrigation. Is that because for poor farmers, we have developed technology for bamboo drip irrigation, because we have a place called Jaintia Hills in one district in Meghalaya. So they use this drip irrigation for growing betel vine. So it's a very important technology. This is, we have demonstrated the farmers field, because bamboo is easily available in the farmers' backyard. So they can utilize these bamboo for drip irrigation for cultivation of the high value crops like tomato, then your betel vine, and by using the rainwater harvested in the Jalkund. So these are some of the technology we have demonstrated. So this sort of this drip irrigation practice we have to adopt to deal with this climate change scenario in Northeast or in India. Then apart from soil management, we had to develop some drought tolerant varieties, because I was the PI for NICRA. You might be knowing the National Innovations on Climate Resilient Agriculture. We have developed one aerobic dhan, that is upland paddy. So this productivity is 4.5 tons per hectare. So this was released by the Central Variety Release Committee, and we have identified these more aerobic conditions. You see, nowadays this water is a serious problem. Under that, we are advocating farmers who go for the upland rice under that condition. So this sort of drought tolerant crop rice varieties or crop varieties will be having a significant impact to deal with the climate change or drought management so far India is concerned. So then how to improve the water storage in soil? As I told you, the consecutive dry days is increased in various meteorological stations we have seen. So to deal with that one, we have to improve the water storage capacity. So application of organic manure, biochar, as I told you, improving soil structure, then mulching, there's a plastic mulch, crop residue mulch, deep tillage to break the compaction and continuity of capillary pore. When there is a continuity of capillary pore, there is a lot of moisture lost from the soil surface. So we have to go for deep tillage. Sometimes you will break the capillary pores, and the minimum tillage, as I told, I have shown, it will conserve moisture in the soil, and slope management in case of hills for increasing the water storage in soil. So biochar, as I told you, it conserves a lot of moisture, because you see, when you apply biochar, the soil physical condition is significantly improved, and especially the moisture conservation. I can show you. If you see the biochar naked eyes, it's just like a charcoal. But when you see in the scanning electron micrograph, you can see the pores of the biochar. So biochar is having very low bulk density. So this BD is very high, low, 0.3 to 0.4 megagram per meter cube, whereas soil is a bulk density, you can see 1.4, 1.3 like that. When we apply biochar, so it improves the physical conditions of soil. That means it reduces the bulk density of soil, it improves the water storage capacity. And because of high surface area, that means porosity is high, surface area is very high. You can see the micropore 750 to 1360 meters square per gram due to micropores in biochar, and macropore is very high, 51. It varies from 51 to 138 meters square per gram of the material, and depending on the feedstock of biochar. So this high porosity, that means low bulk density, high porosity means when you apply biochar in soil, it will conserve a lot of moisture. And these small pores, it gives a niches for the microorganisms, because these small pores, they contain moisture, and it's a favorable place for the microorganisms. So that's why the soil fertility build-up also, it will help physical condition improve, and the microbial activities improve, and soil water storage capacity is increased because of the lower in bulk density and increase in the pores in soil. So that is an example we have seen. We have applied, as I told you, we have prepared this biochar from 3 biomasses, wheat biochar, maize stalk, and the pine wheat biochar. We have applied in the soil under different cropping system. There's an upland cropping system we have seen. You can see, as compared to control, the biochar application has maintained high moisture in the soil as compared to control with the progress of time. We have seen in 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, and 75 days. We have seen, as compared to control, the moisture content in the biochar is high, significantly higher, and the contribution of the wheat biochar is very high among all the biochar applied. You can see the soil moisture change, how it is changing with time. And if you compare with the control, it is found to be always high moisture in the soil. So as a result, the application of this biochar, we have seen more photosynthetic activity in maize and rice under different levels of biochar, and transpiration rate also increased because it is increasing under biochar. Because why it is increasing? Because of improved crop growth. So then, as I told you, that increasing soil, this rainfall intensity, there will be a flash flood. So it will inundate a lot of this agricultural field, especially the rice crop. It will be seriously affected. So, and for that, this adaptation strategy should be growing climate-ready crops. So there is submergence tolerant rice, because you see one flash flood comes, it inundates the agricultural field, and it kills these rice plants. Under that conditions, circumstances, ICR or the other agricultural universities from across the India and other parts of the country, they have advocated growing submergence tolerant rice. So you might have heard the different Sorno Sabwan. This is released from the Katak, and other varieties from Northeast we have released. That is Ranjit Sabwan, Bahadur Sabwan. These are submergence tolerant varieties. It can tolerate inundation up to 15 days. So this sort of intervention is required to manage the flooded soil. Then post-flood situation where there is this kind of variety is not available, or even after death of these varieties, we'll have to manage the post-flood situation. So use of these varieties is having less than 10 days duration. this so far Northeast is concerned, so far Assam is concerned, we have this university has developed a variety called Luit. This duration of the crop is less than 100 days. So this is being recommended for the farmers for the post-frost situation. So these are some of the strategy for flooded soil. Then one more strategy, raise and sunken bed. But there is a continuous stagnation of water. In that case, we can go for raise and sunken bed technology. In raised bed, you can see. So we are growing this lady's finger, and in the sunken bed we are growing rice. In the sunken bed, this rice also can be utilized for fish farming. So this is a technology that we have demonstrated. That a lot of farmers have adopted this kind of technology. Then we are talking about the holistic approach. So these are specific management practices. Now we talk about this concern, very important intervention to deal with the climate change. You see, agroforestry, in agroforestry, we always combine tree with the agricultural crops. And I'll show you some of the intervention. Then integrated farming system. So integration of different component of this business, this agriculture, the livestock, crop, then honeybee, specialty agriculture like honeybee, mushroom production, poultry, then duckery, goatery. If we combine all these systems, we say it's the integrated farming system. Integrated farming system is highly climate resilient, because you see, as I told you, India, the more than 85% farmers are resource poor. They belongs to the category of marginal farmers. Their risk-bearing capacity is less. So if they go for application of this adoption of integrated farming system, this resilience of the agriculture will improve. Why? Because if there is a climate change, in case of adversity, when you go for integrated farming system, one of the components will be affected, all the components will not be affected at the time. So at least if one component fails, other component will give livelihood support to the farmers. So adoption of this kind of practice, we are advocating, we are demonstrating to the farmers. Then integrated nutrient management, this is a holistic approach so far to deal with the climate change or to deal with the soil health management. You see, so far Northeast is concerned, this alnas, ginger and turmeric in Meghalaya, these are very important agroforestry systems in Northeast. You see, you might have heard about the alnas. Alnas is a tree, so it is a nitrogen fixing tree. So these roots have a association with the actinomycetes. It fixes a lot of atmospheric nitrogen, and it with time, but during this is deciduous in nature, so all the leaves will shed, it comes to the ground, and it improves the soil fertility, it improves the organic matter content of the soil, it improves the soil moisture storage capacity. So this long duration crop, you can see this ginger and turmeric, it requires for 9 months. So maintaining soil moisture is very, very important. So under this circumstance, this type of association is very, very important. So this alnas, you see, this Northeast in Nagaland. So this is a very age-old practice of adoption of this kind of alder-based, we say it's the alnas nepalensis, alder-based farming system. It is being practiced by the many farmers in Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim also. So these are very good agroforestry practices to deal with the climate change or to moisture stress management. Then one more important agroforestry system that is very, very popular in Sikkim, alnas plus large cardamom. You might have heard about large cardamom. Sikkim is an important state so far large cardamom is concerned, and it fetches very good price. So because of climate change, because of the this moisture stress, so this crop is seriously affected. But when the farmers, they adopt alnas-based agroforestry system, alnas nitrogen fixation, soil moisture conservation, it helps. So these are very important agroforestry systems so far Sikkim is concerned. So this sort of intervention is required to deal with the climate change, to management the health of the soil. Then integrated farming system, as I told you, different components of the enterprises are combined together. So these are IFS system being followed in the Northeast. I tell you, this integrated farming system, it is a farming system, it is adopted by one farmer from Manipur. You might have heard the state of Manipur. So there's a tribal state. This farmer, his name is Mr. Peter. So he has got this Jagjivan Ram Abhinav Puraskar conferred by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare in 2015. because of showcasing or because of adoption of these integrated farming, you can see different components. He's a very successful farmer through intervention of integrated farming system in his this field. So like these other farmers for the Manipur also, they are adopting this kind of integrated farming system, and they are able to manage the climate, this abiotic and abiotic stress arising due to climate change, in Northeast. That is also one more, this integrated farming system, pig, they have this poultry, then fish, then vegetables. And this is a very important integrated farming system in Northeast. So this is one of the this demonstration we have carried out in the Manipur, state of Manipur. Then integrated nutrient management in Meghalaya, we have seen the soil is acidic. So we have seen, because it is the soil intensity, the acidity also increasing because of this, because you see in Northeast also climate temperature is increasing at the rate of 0.04 centigrade per annum. So this is also this may going to affect the soil acidity, and the soil acidity already is very low, so very high. Soil, most of the soil pH is 4.5. So under that circumstance, if the pH, if this temperature rise is concerned, if this continues, then pH will further intensify. So in that case, we have advocated farmers who go for integrated nutrient management, incorporation of this liming along with FOM and 50% of the recommended dose of fertilizer. So what we have seen, we have increased the crop yield by 60% in case of groundnut, soybean, in case of groundnut, 70% increase, in case of maize, 33%, in case of potato, you can see the smile of the farmer. So this farmer's practice 10.3 tons per hectare, but in case of this integrated management, it has gone up to 23.3 tons per hectare, which is at par with the national average. So this sort of intervention is required to deal with the climate change or to deal with the this soil health. So far this your climate change is concerned. So we have demonstrated some of the climate resilient technology in the farmers field. You can to have a glance. I am showing you. So this is vegetable cultivation using Jalkund water. We have demonstrated in the farmers field, and this is in case of this Sikkim, we have demonstrated this technology. Then in case of Rivo, you can Sikkim also we have seen green manuring, how to improve soil health through green manuring. That we have demonstrated. This is upland paddy, they usually grow after rice, they grow this green manuring. You can see the BC ratio also increased to a significant extent. Then mulching in broccoli, cabbage, and ginger cultivation, you can see this BC ratio has increased from up to 4.3. And these are the ginger, straw mulch in ginger. Then the black polythene mulch in pineapple, as I have told you, it's from Nagaland, demonstration from Nagaland. So this first fruiting with bigger size, average 3.2 kg, one fruit weight. So this sort of climate resilient technology we have given, and mitigating the climate change effect. And zero tillage in pea, it is a Prakash variety we have used. You can see the BC ratio has increased up to from 1.3 to 3.8. Then increase in the yield also. Then system of rice intensification, paddy, zero tillage green gram followed by paddy. So these also increase the award is because zero tillage, this SRI, it conserves a lot of moisture, and at the same time it improves the yield also. This sort of this technology we'll have to adopt, we'll have to demonstrate, we'll have to advocate the farmers. Then integrated farming system, these are demonstrations we have made in the farmers field under NICRA project, National Innovations in Climate Resilient Project. We could succeed, we could convince the farmers to use this kind of farming system models. Then, so far, NICRA, this climate change is concerned, our institute is involved, one of the institute of the ICR, this project on this National Innovations on Climate Resilient Agriculture. This is a national project. It is being conducted under 40 institutes across India under ICR. So our institute also have one important center. So we have created this kind of facility. You can see CTDC facility, then FAIT facility, free air temperature enhancement facility, then this carbon dioxide temperature gradient chamber facility we have developed. We have developed biochar facility. Then many more facilities we have developed a lot of technologies. apart from agricultural technology, we have also developed technology in case of the livestock, because livestock here flood is an important serious important climate means serious effect of climate change. The flood, as I told you, rice, and especially in case of rearing animals, is getting a problem. The low temperature is also, so for that sort of this to deal with this sort of this stress, we have developed some technology under this project. Then finally, what I want to say, soil is soil is simply the soul of the infinite life. So there's American President Franklin D. Roosevelt, what he spoke, the nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. So if the climate change destroys our soil, our country is going to be destroyed. So use the soil, but don't abuse. So take care of soil. Thank you. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And now we can, if you have some questions, you can ask.
Good afternoon to everybody. So if you have questions, discuss with our speaker. Any questions, student friends? So any questions, audience side, online participants?
Thank you very much for your very informative and thought-provoking lecture. So my question is, any special kind of practice that is needed to maintain the soil health in the coastal region, because our center is located in the coastal area.
Yeah.
And so that's why I put the question, sir.
We are mostly dealing with this acid soils of Northeast. So the coastal region, major problem will be your soil salinity. Soil salinity will be a major problem, and because of increase in soil salinity, I think this soil salinity institute from this kernel, they have recommended a lot of technology to deal with the soil salinity, and organic matter management is a serious issue so far, because in south also the temperature is increasing. So under that circumstance, I have already told you how to manage the organic matter content in soil through incorporation, through green manuring, or through application of different types of compost depending on the biomass availability. So that sort of technology. Then this conservation of agriculture, less disturbance, more conservation of moisture, as well as this organic matter in the soil. So that sort of your intervention, it will be required, because see the soil of whether it is in coastal area or whether it is in Northeast or whether it is in northern India, though this blanket application you cannot follow, but it is very region specific. So depending on a region, depending on biomass availability, you will have to manage the soil. And depending on this, because soil salinity management is not an easy task. So as I told you, because the soil drought is increasing, a lot of this evaporative loss of water from the soil is increasing. So there is a likelihood of increasing soil salinity. So that I told you how to break the this continuity of the these pores, the capillary pores through deep tillage and organic matter management for conservation of more moisture, so that evaporative loss is not there. Then surface cover of with the soil crop residue. That sort of technology we need to follow to deal with the soil salinity problems in the coastal areas. And this mangrove forest, that also plays a serious role. So for this soil health is concerned, because now this mangrove area is also reducing because of climate change. So that sort of technology, what I told you, maybe because I may not be expert in that line, because I especially deal with the Northeast. So whatever general this view is there, that I think it will give you some sort of this direction to focus your research for this special area.
Dr. Dhanashekhar, I can also give you one answer is like, through my experience, we have added like fresh coir waste.
Okay.
Like incorporating into the fresh coir waste into the soil has reduced or removed the salt more. And similarly, growing of the danger, the Yeah, agree. And the incorporation probably continuously for 1 or 2 times
Yes.
can also bring down the salinity to a greater extent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
they
you.
are highly means tolerant to this soil salinity. They can grow well.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Doctor, good morning. This is Kumar calling from Chennai. Our Annamala University professor has pointed out this alkaline soil problem.
Okay.
The same way, this Chennai, and it's a coastal area. Chennai, it's the border of Andhra of the area, where the salinity is a big problem. And one more issue is that the water is having high calcium chloride content.
Okay.
So normally whatever the practices which we are recommending for neutralizing the alkaline soil,
Yeah.
we'll be giving either passport gypsum or other thing. That is the best way, the cheapest mode to change the alkaline soil. But since the passport gypsum has got high calcium content, and we are not able to neutralize the soil here, and because the water is already having high calcium chloride content. And if at all anything can you can suggest or you can help us in helping the farmers, it will be good. Your suggestions, doctor.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, doctor, your suggestions, please.
I could not hear because some problem in the internet. Hello.
Yeah, what I was saying is the soil is having alkalinity problem.
Yeah.
And the water is having high calcium chloride content.
Okay.
And for alkaline soil, we normally recommend gypsum.
Yes.
Which has high calcium.
Yes.
And because of this problem, we are not able to neutralize the soil, and the farmer is facing the yield reduction in the crop, and they are not able to suitably convert the field into good growing field.
Okay.
Can you go for subsurface drainage?
Because you see, I don't have expertise in this line, but what I can suggest,
Yeah.
is there the possibility of doing the subsurface drainage for that soil?
Pardon?
Subsurface drainage as recommended by the Soil Science Research Institute Colonel. Is there a possibility of doing that one?
It is a high rainfall area actually. The northeast monsoon comes in the month of November, December.
Yeah.
So we'll try it out, but again, the drainage system will try it out. But if at all any other possibility is there, you can please suggest us. If you can share your number, I can even come back to you, and I can send the soil test and water test reports also to you.
Okay. Okay. So let's share because I don't have expertise in this line.
Okay.
So I may not be able to unmute you, but at least I can share some publication in this regard.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
If you can share your mail ID or contact number, it will be very well used for me.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your presentation was very good. With all the contests like biochar and all, it's very useful. I believe.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the participants. So if due to time constraint, if you have any doubt or regarding questions, you contact our speaker. I will provide the email ID in the chat box. Okay. So thank you, sir, for your very informative and useful presentation. It will be eye-opening for all our participants. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. It was very, time was very short. I could, because one of my friends, Dr. Saktivel, he approached me.
Okay.
So finally I agreed because I was busy with some other program. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, sir.
In future, I will be in touch.
Okay, sir. I will be in touch with you always, sir. Saktivel has only introduced us, sir. Very much thankful to you and Saktivel, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So next, I call upon our next speaker, K. Sendil Kumar, Deputy Manager, Madras Fertilizers Limited, Trichy. So he is our alumnus, both UG and PG. So PG he has done in soil science. So he has done additional qualification in Bardiyar University, Coimbatore for his MBA program. So he joined in MFL in 1997. Until then, he is continuing in that same organization. So he has very good achievements among few. So he has stood number 1 in ING Vyasa Life Insurance Marketing by MFL in the year 2005-2006. Achieved highest sales of biofertilizers during 2002-3 in Kadapa region, particularly in Andhra Pradesh. Promoted a Vijay City compost and solid high volume in Coimbatore and Udagamandal region during in the year 2011-13 because it is gaining momentum nowadays. The city compost and become a number 1 performer in Madras Fertilizers Limited. So worked in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Pondicherry states in MFL. Presently based in Trichy region. A very dynamic personality. Over to the speaker. Continue, sir. Thank you.
So very good afternoon. Hello. So very good afternoon. This is Sendil Kumar. Audible, sir?
Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Okay. Very good afternoon, one and all. This is Sendil Kumar, working with Madras Fertilizers Limited, based at Trichy. Okay, now I have given a topic of promoting balanced fertilization in India. Okay, as earlier Sir Hazadia sir told, soil is a soul. This is a soul for our life. Same time, next. So soil plays a major role. Soil is a very important for our survival, for our food, fuel and shelter and other purposes. Soil is a life sustainable natural resource. So 99.7% of our human food came from soil only. Due to the healthy crop and healthy people and a healthy society also developed by good soil only. So we have to maintain the soil health. It is a prime important. We have to maintain the soil health. Then only we are able to get healthy crops, people as well as the society. In the recent emphasis of the soil health, actually slow degradation of soil, agricultural soils occurs in the field due to the erosion, loss of organic matter, nutrient imbalance, contamination, compaction, and increased salinity and other harms. It shows the recent years research, we have to manage the soil to avoid the degradation. The soil biota and the soil organic matter is a main and crucial characteristics of soil, healthy soil. So we have to improve the organic matter as well as organic nitrogen and other nutrients inclusive of micronutrients to improve the soil health. To maintain the soil health, soil organic matter and soil organic nitrogen, these two are very fundamental and coupling microbial activities. Loss of soil nitrogen decreases the soil productivity. So we have to use the agronomic efficiency of fertilizer nitrogen. Same time, the agro ecosystem also play a vital role in supplying nitrogen to crop plants. Thus, dictates the efficiency of applied fertilizer nitrogen. Fertilizer application also improves the soil health. How? Adequate amount of nutrients only improve the soil health. We are applying more fertilizers or more nutrients means it will affect the soil also. So long-term application of adequate amount of nutrients leads to good health of soil. Same time, soil organic matter levels also we have to maintain. Then only the excessive acidity is in the soil will not form. Application of nitrogen fertilizers doesn't lead to large deposition of nitrogen in the soil. We will see the 4 nutrient stewards, that is right application of right nutrient, right time, right method of application, then right place where we have to apply. Like that we have to decide and we have to apply. Then only we will get an good production, profit and sustainable profit, then the good environment. The picture shows the nutrient stewards, 4 R nutrient stewards to improve the soil health. The concerns about the availability of nutrients. There are so many constraints in market. Major constraint is the concern for small holding farmers are there. Large holding farmers, large land holdings and small landholders. Fertilizer affordability and availability for small scale farmers are somehow we have to improve in Asia Pacific regions. Then often non-availability of quality fertilizers at the right time also leads to imbalance of fertilization in the soil. It will decline the productivity of the crop. Then availability of fertilizer is also influenced by stable pricing of fertilizers, equitable distribution, then prices of fertilizers in the international market. Here we have to observe that we have to distribute the fertilizer equally in the stable price. Here the private organizations play in a major role. Nutrient imbalance leads to soil health deterioration. Imbalance of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium application many a time due to non-availability of potassium and phosphorus at the right time at the affordable prices. So non-application of micronutrients also leads to imbalance of nutrients. We have to follow the integrated management system. Not following integrated management based available organic and inorganic nutrient sources. So here we have to observe, we have to follow the integrated nutrient management system and balanced fertilizer application system with organic as well as organic, inorganic and secondary and other micronutrients. Here we have to see the aims of balanced fertilization to ensure increased crop yields. Final and nutshell results of the farmer is an increased crop yield. We have to get good yield, then only the cropping is useful for them. To improve cost benefit relationship, then to improve quality of crops, to correct soil nutrient deficiency, to maintain or improve the soil fertility, to avoid water pollution, environmental pollution, soil pollution, etc. To restore soil fertility impaired through imbalanced fertilizer use. The concepts of balanced fertilization. Here I want to discuss why the concept of balanced fertilization required. Fertilizer consumption in India has increased like anything last 50 to 60 years. 50 years back, the fertilizer consumption in India is around 69,000 metric tons only. Now, more than 20 million metric tons we are using for agriculture purpose. Here, the food grain production also increased 4 to 5 folds. That is 50 million tons to 215 million tons. So fertilizer consumption per hectare also increased like anything. Previously, 50, 60 years back, the consumption of fertilizer per hectare is only 520 milligrams, that is 0.52 kgs. At present, more than 95 kgs per hectare they are using. During 1992-93, the decontrol of fertilizer policy introduced. Due to the decontrol of fertilizer, the price of phosphorus and potassium fertilizers, DAP and other potash fertilizers, price has increased with controlled price of urea. Here the urea price didn't increase. So automatically the consumption, the application of fertilizer reduced like anything. So consumption of urea alone increased like anything. So here they have adopted so many ad hoc price support and decontrol fertilizer policies to increase the support price of food grains, as well as to increase the corresponding period nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium fertilizer application. The average application by the farmers to food grains and oil seeds is about 75 kgs nutrients per hectare, but the recommendation is 165 kgs. So non-application of micro and macronutrients in the deficit areas leads imbalance fertilization, that leads soil degradation or silting. So we have to improve this balanced fertilization by so many ways. In the special programs also, so many special programs also launched, like promoting the use of micronutrients in the, not only in rain-fed irrigated areas, also in rain-fed areas, because rain-fed area only having a major area in India. Around 67 to 68% of agricultural cropping area belongs to rain-fed area. So to improve the rain-fed area cultivation, they have introduced so many promoting programs. Here the fertigation system, here the fertilizer as well as water use efficiency also increased to enhance the consumption of that nutrient per hectare, that is 162 kgs is recommended nutrient, So to uptake the nutrient content, they have given a special programs, they have launched special innovations also. Then there is a need to promote soil health by soil testing. In India, soil testing, where the farmers are used, only 10% of the farmers are able to use this soil test, as well as they are following the soil recommended soil test quantities. So the main concept of balanced fertilization is to enhance the nutrient use efficiency. Same time, the application of fertilizers, the optimum quantities and in right proportion through appropriate methods also increased our productivity. Balanced fertilization leads to a build the soil health, but the imbalanced fertilization leads soil mining and soil sickness. Here, some key points, the key words in the balanced fertilization are there. One is plant nutrients, soil fertility, crop productivity, soil building, soil mining, and fertilizer use efficiency. It ensures that of fertilizers in optimum quantities and in right proportions through appropriate methods results the sustenance of soil fertility and increase the crop productivity automatically. In this picture shows here the soil building. One is feeding the soil, another one is feeding the plant. The chemical fertilizers, what we are applying is feeding the plants only. But what we are applying in the organic form, it will feed both plant as well as soil nutrients, microorganisms, etc. It will build the soil health. So we have to improve our soil health. We have to use both organic as well as inorganic manures. The strategy of balanced fertilization. What is a strategy? Previously, we have done a crop rotation. Now we have to follow intensive crop rotation. Then only the imbalanced fertilization will be sorted out. Then high yielding varieties. Previously, we used to tell as a varieties, good varieties. But at present, we have to use high yielding varieties for cropping system. Then adequate application of nutrients. In addition to that, the privatization of fertilizer industry is a wide choice, but for good farmings, better prices and services, we have to privatize, or we have to develop more entrepreneurs in the fertilizer industry. Then education of policy makers, scientists, extension personnel, and farmers also important strategy for our balanced fertilization. In our India, the ideal ratio of NPK followed is 1:0.5:0.25. In this ratio only, we are following in India. The intensive crop rotation actually leads to multiple croppings. In the era of India is already in the era of multiple nutrient deficiencies. Not only NPK, in addition to that, sulfur and zinc also reduced. Here, the crop rotation shows that the total nutrients removed from our soil. Here, the rice, wheat, jute remove 477 kg per hectare. In rice, wheat, cowpea, 791 kg per hectare. So we have to follow the intensive cropping through optimum application of N, P and K2O. Balanced fertilization is a profit maximization approach. The intensive irrigated farming and the rain-fed dryland farming for high productivity and high yield stability through the balanced fertilizer application. The long-term experimental research in India, it shows not only the application of N, P and K fertilizers. In addition to that, we have to add organic manure, that is 12 to 15 tons of organic manure per hectares we have to use for the sustainable agriculture purpose. The continuous application of P and K generally result in the positive P balance but negative K balance. It indicates that we have to add some more K, that is potassium, we have to apply some potash to soil through soil testing. Soil testing in India has not been a successful program. Less than 10% of farmers adopt recommended fertilizer rate through soil testing. Then fertilizer recommendation in India are not made on flexible basis. The farmer cannot offered for farmer doesn't know how to adjust the recommendation given by the scientists or department officials. Okay. India has an elaborate fertilizer distribution and marketing system where the private traders play an important and major role. That is 69% of private dealerships, only they are supplying fertilizers. Only 31% of cooperatives is active in our India. So here the major role players are private sector. This is expected to provide more competitive environment, resulting in wider product choice with better prices and improved farming services. Okay. During 1992, decontrol of fertilizer policy. Here, the decontrol price, the use of nitrogenous fertilizers increased like anything. Say simultaneously, the phosphatic and potassium fertilizer prices were increased. So automatically, the usage of P and K, that is DAP, potash, and other phosphatic fertilizers were reduced due to decontrol policy. But what is a good sign we have observed is Indian farmers didn't reduce the P and K ratio due to increase the price also. It appears that education of policymakers on the importance of balanced fertilization needs such as attention as educating farmers, extensionists, and scientists also. Here we have to go for main objective of integrated nutrient management to maintain and or enhance the soil productivity through balanced use of mineral fertilizers with organic and biological sources of plant nutrient. Encouragement of the judicious use of chemical fertilizers, green leaf manures, and biofertilizers for higher productivity. Environmentally safe and eco-friendly sustainable agriculture we have to follow to improve physical, chemical, and biological conditions of soil. Here, the components of INM shows clearly we have to use chemical, that is inorganic fertilizers, either complex fertilizers or straight fertilizers. In addition to that, livestock, previously Sir told, poultry manures are very good sources like that. He has expressed livestock and human waste, crop residues, tree waste, and urban and rural waste, agro industries byproducts, biological fixation. It leads to the efficient use of natural resources. Then only we are able to get the good production or yield of the crop. To maintain the fertility of soil also help by the INM. To improve the soil physical condition, the INM plays a major role. Due to INM, reduced soil water erosion also observed. To control the soil water air pollution also, the balanced fertilization is very useful for us. Here the major sources of manures, cattle shed waste, human habitat waste, poultry litter, then byproducts of agro inputs, crop waste, weeds, and green manure crops. The microorganisms plays a major role in our agricultural activity. Cow manure contain up to 30% of bacteria and other microorganisms. Mainly, these microorganisms are very helpful to break down the organic matter into humus. It is converting the organic matter as humus. This is the unavailable form to available form. So the microorganisms plays a major role in soil health building. Same time, it breaks down the pollutants in the soil. So it plays a vital role in the nitrogen cycle. Compost. It is a bulky organic manure obtained from town and other farm waste, cattle excreta, etc. Farm compost, then super digested compost, town compost, rural compost, and urban compost. Here, the vermicompost is also available. The vermicompost is mainly obtained through the cattle excreta. So we have to follow the green manuring also. How the green manuring works? Timely application or timely cultivation of green manure species will increase the soil health. Same time, it ensures good growing conditions. we have to wait up to the good production of biomass in the applied green manure. So after good development of biomass, we have to cut the green manure shown in the field. That is usually before flowering stage. Then we have to incorporate with the soil. Next we have to sow the main plant or main crop 1 or 2 weeks interval itself. Then only it will be very useful. The concept of brown manuring, in addition to the green manuring and other things, we are having one more concept. It is actually a new concept. Some places it will be here. Some of them are following brown manuring. Brown manuring here, no till, that is tillering is not observed. One with okay.
Yeah, I request the participants not to scribble on the desktop because it's interfering the presentation. Is there a possibility of erasing it off? Excuse me, sir.
No, ma'am. There is no permission.
Yeah, now better. Yeah, if the participants are not interested, then they can leave the session.
There's no permission.
Now let's go ahead with the presentation.
Here, the brown manuring concept. Brown manuring means we have to grow green manure crops without tilling the green manure crops. Straight away, we have to spray herbicide. Then we have to mulch that ground manures in the ground. Due to there are so many advantages due to cultivation of brown manuring and green manuring. Weed controls, then disease-free crops, soil fertility also improved, soil biology and function also improved, soil erosion also controlled, automatically the production of crop also enhanced. Then concentrated organic manures. The manures are higher nutrient content and bulky organic manures like oil cakes, blood meal, fish meal, etc. Then crop residues. Some of the crops after harvesting the main crop, the main field will be burnt and the residues as used as a manure. Example, in sugarcane fields, they are using like this. Here, some of the nutrient losses also observed. So actually, we don't want to follow that crop residual burning practices. Then the biofertilizers. Here, the biofertilizers are the living cells. It is here also the microorganisms plays a major role. You know pretty well how to use the biofertilizers by seed inoculation, root inoculation, and other soil application methods. The widely adopted guidelines for balanced fertilizer use may consist of the following practices: fertilizer application on soil test basis, then cultivation of high yielding varieties, then correlation of all nutrients deficiencies, then integrated fertilizer and water management, adoption of best fertilizer management practices through 4 R's, then split application of nitrogen and potassium fertilizers, treatment of urea with neem coated and sulfur and gypsum coated form, then dipping of rice seedlings and potato seed tubers in zinc and sulfur and other slurries. Balanced fertilizer issues and strategies. It improves the fertilizer use efficiency, then stipulates the use of chemical fertilizer, including micronutrients, biofertilizers, organic menus, and green menus. Existing balance in fertilizer use has to improve through so many researchers. It is certainly not ideal. So we have to improve the existing balanced fertilizer system. Soil testing also very useful for balanced fertilization. Here we have to strengthen the soil testing labs to encourage for private or farm users the charging fees and other soil analysis and timely adoption also very important. Major nutrients fortified with micro and secondary nutrients also compatible for the establishment of balanced fertilizer usage. Drip and sprinkler irrigation system also popularized. The integrated nutrient products having organic menus fortified with chemical fertilizers may be promoted. Orientation of research emphasis, the changing of cropping pattern, fertilizer response, and other fertilizer process also improved. To promote the use of superphosphate, then P and phosphorus, sulfur, and calcium also good effective for balanced fertilization. Government may consider launching of national programs to promote the micronutrients as well as the soil test reports. Then extension and promotion of fertilizer needs likely decontrol in future. The chemical fertilizers is to mix fertilizer with organic menus before use. Improved efficiency will ensure improved profitability. Integrated use of nutrients may need to be trust of fertilizer promotion by the industry and the government in future. Private entrepreneurship in fertilizer distribution may be encouraged to have a greater availability of funds for fertilizer procurement and distribution. Special programs to be launched to promote the fertilizer use in rain-fed areas. About, I have told 67% of net cultivated area in India is rain-fed areas. It will contribute around 44% of the food grains production. The fertilizer consumption in such areas is quite low. So we have to improve that fertilizer usage in that areas. Soil including, the program may be launched to monitor the quality of soil, including underground water. Thank you very much. With that, I conclude my balanced fertilization session, please.
The participants are open for discussion. Any doubts, sir? Online participants. Okay, thank you, sir, for your simple and very good presentation, sir. It's very useful for our student participants. Thank you, sir, for your gesture. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. S. Srinivasan, Associate Professor, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, and Organizing Secretary, for giving concluding remarks and report on the conference.
Thanks for patience, and it's a time for the report of this conference. So the virtual conference was started with the prayer. Our most respected, the Professor Head Department of Soil Science, welcome the gatherings, the dignitaries, delegates, speakers, and students in online as well as offline. So Professor and Head Department of Entomology, Director of IQAC, explained about the IQAC and the industry, the institute and interface, and the interactions. So he explained very well. Respected our beloved Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, inaugurated the conference and mentioned the soil fertility map of our areas to be known. Now the Organizing Secretary, Dr. R. Bhuvaneshwari, has introduced and briefed about the conference. Our conference director, Dr. Dhansayan sir, introduced the first speaker Dr. Zero, he talked about first the sustainable soil fertility management. And next, Dr. Samarendra Hazarika has explained about the soil health management in context of the climate change. And followed by Dr. D. Venkatakrishnan sir has introduced the speaker, Mr. K. Sendil Kumar. He talked about the promoting balanced fertilization in India, issues and strategies. So the total number of the registered participants are 268. So thanks. This is the report of our conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a brief conclusion. Now, we would like to welcome Dr. B. Venkatakrishnan, sir, Associate Professor, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, and Organizing Secretary for the vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon. So this is vote of thanks session. So I thank Registrar Dr. Gnanavendan for his permission to conduct virtual conference. I thank Dr. M. Ganapathy, Dean Faculty of Agriculture, for his support to conduct virtual conference. I thank Dr. Arivudan MB, IQAC Director, for his guidance to conduct virtual conference. I thank Dr. M.V. Sriram Chandrasekharan sir, Professor and Head, Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, for his constructive criticism and guidance. I thank profusely all resource persons for readily acceptance for our virtual conference, for their spare their valuable time to deliberate their lectures. I thank Dr. Saktivel, scientist, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Kasaragata, for arranging ICR scientist Samarendra Hazarika, Meghalaya, for his lecture. I thank Dr. K. Dhanasekaran, Dr. Srinivasan, Dr. Bhuvaneshwari, organizers, for their tireless effort. I thank Dr. Jayaprakash, Assistant Professor in Education, Dr. Dhanasekaran, Assistant Professor in Horticulture, Dr. Sathapan, Associate Professor in Department of Horticulture, Dr. C. Muruganandam, Assistant Professor in Horticulture, Dr. Sivasakti Velan, Assistant Professor in Microbiology, Dr. John Christie, Associate Professor in Animal Husbandry, for their technical support. I thank all my colleagues for their moral support. Particularly, I thank our PhD scholars Kritika, Alul Rajshekaran, Aravind Kumar, Gokul, and Santana Bharati from Department of Microbiology, and budding scientists to facilitate for their conduct of virtual conference. I thank Tejaswi, Dharani, Praveen Kumar for their supportive work. I thank supporting staff in our department for their physical help to us. If I forgot to left somebody to thank, kindly forgive me. I thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. I thank everybody for participating in today's webinar. And that's the end of the session. Thank you.
So I thank each and every